Hello again, friends! And you are our friends. Welcome back to another edition of Jim Cornette's Drive Thru. A happy edition, episode 365. That means, if you go back through the archive, the full-length episodes, there's now 1 year's worth of episodes, one for every single day of the year. I'm your host, the great Brian Last. Who knows what we got here today? Who knows what we have here today? But here he is, the man who has it all, Mr. Jim Cornette.
We got good grammar. We got good grammar here, and we got the fall here, Brian. The fall has become us, and as friends do when we first got on the horn here, as Archie Bunker would say, with each other, and began chatting just briefly. Talking about the weather is an innocuous topic, and you mentioned, the leaves are coming down. As well, the leaves are coming down here too, because it's been the driest.
Because
month.
Everything's a competition with you.
Well, no, it's not a competition. I was just agreeing with you. I was commiserating with you. You were saying, "Yeah, I'm out. It's kind of pleasant weather, but the leaves are all falling." And I said the same thing because it's been so dry here. It's the driest it's about to be. If it doesn't rain on Halloween, which they think it may or may not, it'll be the driest month ever in the history of goddamn Louisville, Kentucky. 5/100ths of an inch of rain we have gotten. And we got 5 inches of rain the last 2 days of September from the hurricane remnants, and then nothing since then. So all the leaves are already turned and they're falling down. And I just happened to mention that to you, and you said to me, it makes you wonder what people did in the days before electricity when there was a drought like that.
That's not exactly how I said it.
And I said, what does fucking electricity have to do with solving a drought?
Because you can go to the grocery store and buy whatever you need. You don't have to live off the land and the water in the land.
They had grocery stores before they had electricity.
Right, but they didn't have refrigeration.
Well, no shit, Sherlock, but what's that got to do with a drought?
I don't know what problem you have with electricity. It doesn't make any sense.
You cannot solve a drought with electricity.
The point was about the comfort, not about solving the drought. I didn't think you could use electricity to bring storm clouds or whatever you think we do with our space lasers.
If there had been electricity in 1862, when they had a drought, then they could have sit there in their air conditioning and been cool while they fucking died of thirst, is what you're saying.
My point is there could be a severe drought in Louisville for 3 months, and you're not going to have a problem going to the store and getting produce.
Well, what again, how does produce solve? I need a drink of water. There's no water.
They're going to have water in the grocery store. You're not going to have to worry about it because of the modern world. And I think you should be thankful for the modern world.
So electricity has solved all the drought in the world.
Well, the Industrial Revolution kicked off, dare I say, a revolution, and began changing things for the better. And here we are here today with lots of industry and lots of revolution.
This Industrial Revolution thing, only time will tell if it stands the test of time.
All right, well, this is your show.
No, it's not. That's another thing I wanted to bring up to you.
You wanted to bring it up?
I wanted to bring it up that this is not my show, it's your show. And on my show for the last couple weeks, because you've been feeling puny, you've been like, I'll try to get through this, but you handle most of it. Well, now I feel fine, but you still, now that you're well, need to handle most of it. I'll just be over here. I'll be waiting to be informed by you, Brian.
Well, let me
in the news items that you bring across the desk. I will. One thing about today.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, you don't even know what I'm going to say yet.
That's
How do
what
you
I'm
know
afraid
it's
of.
Not good?
That's what I'm afraid of. It's scarier when I don't know what you're going to say than when I know what horrible things you're going to say.
Don't be scared, little darling. Don't you cry. No, I was just going to make mention that as we sit here today, the date of today is my father's 110th birthday. Wow. He was 110 years old today. He actually He was born the same year that World War I started, but we didn't get into it till 1917 over here in this country. We were late to the party.
Out of respect for your father.
Well, they wanted to wait till he was at least 3 so he could come help. But anyway, I just wanted to bring that up there. But
very cool. Well, you told me...
otherwise, I'm yours.
Well, you're mine. Well, I don't know if I want that. But ladies and gentlemen, Jim Cornette, we have some breaking news as we are recording.
Yes.
This coming from the website Deadline. Endeavor sells IMG, On Location, and Professional Bull Riders to TKO.
Wait, what?
For $3.25 billion. Ari Emanuel's Conglom also may unload tennis holdings and the Freeze Art Fair. Update.
Wait. Okay, a lot of words there.
That's the headline. That's just the headline.
That's just the headline? I thought that was the whole article. So, but wait a minute now. Is this a case of somebody taking something out of their left pocket and putting it in their right pocket? And also the professional bull riders. What's going to happen out there in Bean Station, Missouri? But Endeavor and TKO, and who owns what? Who sold what to who?
Ari Emanuel's Endeavor is shuffling its sports entertainment deck. Endeavor's majority-owned sports entertainment group, TKO Group Holdings, so let's stop right there. Endeavor's majority-owned. They're the majority owners of the publicly traded TKO Group.
Right.
Is purchasing IMG, On Location, and Professional Bull Riders from its parent company in a $3.25 billion all-equity deal.
Now, who's the parent company?
Endeavor.
So, wait a minute. Endeavor, which owned these things already, right?
That is correct.
Is selling these things to another company that they already own.
They own the majority of.
Well, okay, then. I mean, I don't know that anybody is consulting with Vince these days on his whatever small percentage he has left after he got that $2 billion.
Well, there's other shareholders. I mean, there's public shareholders is my point. They're the majority owner and they control everything, but they're not the only owners.
Oh, this sounds like some kind of kabuki-ish hocus pocus on the bookkeepers to me.
TKO, created a year ago from the merger of the WWE and UFC, will now house more of Endeavor's assets, with sports and media agency, producer and distributor IMG, event hospitality company, On Location, and PBR added to the
Now,
group.
what is IMG again?
IMG was the big agency for years. That was the big, if you wanted to book Jack Nicklaus for something, you had to go to his agents, IMG.
And then they later on opened a branch called OMG.
But they're a major. They've been traditionally a major company, but that's an agency. So the idea they, along with a hospitality company, and then PBR, which is more of a brand like WWE and UFC, but those two aspects being added to the group, a hospitality company and an agency. That's
the bull riding. Do you think any of the bull riders will want to become wrestlers or MMA fighters?
But again, what I'm saying is technically the On Location and IMG could help bullfighting, WWE and UFC. That's what separates bullfighting from the rest of that. But let's get away from some of the bull here.
Wait, no, not bullfighting. You said bullfighting.
Bull riding. Bull riding.
Bull riding, not bullfighting.
Well, now that they're merging with UFC and WWE, I think we're getting one step closer to national bullfighting.
But do the guys fight the bulls or do the bulls fight each other?
All of it. Why not all of it? Why limit your audience?
And then also now they got a hospitality company and a talent agency. They could actually do weddings and bar mitzvahs with a Western theme.
After the close of the deal, which today's announcement said is expected in the first half of 2025, Endeavor will receive around 26 million common units of TKO operating company. It will also have an equal number of TKO's Class B common stock. This will leave Endeavor owning approximately 59% of TKO, with other existing shareholders holding the other 41%. So that answers your question about who owns what.
Well, it sounds like some shady bullshit to me. No, well, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make a pun there about the Bulls, but I can smell it. It's not pungent yet, but there's something going on here. What are they doing? They're saving on taxes like all the billionaires do.
In further news, TKO's board has authorized a share repurchase program of up to $2 billion of Class A common stock. A quarterly cash dividend program has been initiated from which TKO shareholders will receive a quarterly pro rata share of $75 million starting next March. The shuffling of sports assets follows the strategic decision earlier this year to take Endeavor private, capping a 3-year adventure in the public marketplace.
A 3-year adventure? What was it? They were on the minnow? It's a 3-year adventure.
The $13 billion privatization announced last April will see private equity firm Silver Lake exit its longtime position. Wall Street never fully bought into the Endeavor story, given its desperate parts and the inherently volatile nature of the entertainment business, and its share price has remained flat. The pure play TKO, by contrast, has been a stellar performer. Its shares have risen more than 60% in 2024 to date.
Jesus Christ.
That's a nice return on investment. IMG, you asked about them, is known for selling the media rights to many major sporting tournaments, representing numerous clients in the sporting world, and produces the likes of the English Premier League. Clients include the National Football League, the International Olympic Committee, the National Hockey League, Major League Soccer, ATP and WTA tours, the All England Lawn Tennis and Croquet Club, aka Wimbledon, the EuroLeague Basketball, the DP World Tour, and the RNA, as well as UFC, WWE, and PBR.
So they got no connections.
Jesus Christ. Think about, for so long when everyone said, what's going to happen after Vince? With the assumption that like someone was just going to continue to run it by himself. Look at what they're hooked up with now. It's amazing.
Oh, well, it's so amazing that you can't even understand who owns what. And by the way, so now Endeavor they went private again. They set their account on private so they wouldn't get spammed or whatever. But they own a publicly traded company that's worth billions. So how many billions are they worth if they own all these other things that they're then turning around and selling to one of the companies they own for all this fucking shit written down on paper? You don't know how much it's worth or what the fuck is going on here. I'm just a simple small town bird lawyer, Brian. But it sounds to me like these motherfuckers got a lot of money.
On Location provides experiences for fans attending more than 1,200 sporting events, including the Super Bowl, Ryder Cup, NCAA Final Four, FIFA World Cup 26, and the 2026 and 28 Olympic and Paralympic Games, in addition to year-round live events organized by UFC and WWE. Its president, Paul Kane, will continue to lead the organization.
So you're telling me when I was going to Raw every Monday night, our catering consisted of naked broiled chicken breasts with no seasoning, a big bowl of naked spaghetti that if you stuck a fork in it, the whole goddamn thing would come out like a giant spaghetti meatball, and some wilted salad. And now these motherfuckers they're farting through silk.
Well, again, On Location provides fan experiences, so that'll be interesting.
Oh, I thought they were the ones who provided all of the ambiance, the catering, set everything up for the event.
That'll be next when they buy Michelin. Well, there it is. What do you think of PBR, what we sometimes talk about on Sunday afternoons when we record, now being a part of the family?
Well, now, what night are they going to be on USA now, I wonder?
I wonder if there's going to be a crossover there. Oh, my God. Can you imagine if a bull got loose at Monday Night Raw? In the back or the front?
No, because they've already done that on AEW. They got the updated Mantar. What's his name? Rigor Mortis?
Oh, they should do something where like Bronson Reed spears a bull.
Yes, and the bull sells is like the modern day Mondo knocking out the horse in Blazing Saddles.
There's something.
The Mongo. Did I say Mondo?
You said Mondo.
Mongo. Well, I was thinking of Mike Mondo, but Mongo. Alex Karras.
Nothing like Mongo. Mike Mondo, nothing like Mongo.
No. And Alex Karras was not like Mongo either because he did the job for Bruiser whether he wanted to or not.
My favorite Alex Karras role is the brother of Porky and Porky's. He's the corrupt police chief who's brother with Porky. Who's brother with Porky? Who's Porky's brother?
Brother with Porky. Okay, well, there you go. Well, there's the stock market ticker here on the news report. And now we'll go to farm news with Charles Kuralt.
Funny enough, it's not too much of a stretch to go from talking about WWE to talking about Porky's. But, Jim, that is the latest news. And the other big news is the action figure variant.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because it is big news around here. I'm already getting the carpal tunnel syndrome, because I've been signing action figures, and the combined efforts of the Feather Bottoms and yours truly here have instituted and instigated that the first of, I believe, I don't know when this is going to be airing, but by the time you hear this, first couple hundred packages from our onslaught about 19 days ago have or will have been packed and signed, and not in that order. We didn't pack them and then sign them. You know what I'm saying. And shipping. And more is on the way. The final Jim Cornette action figure variant, the man in white, it's customizable. Also, if you order any of the Midnight Express or Heavenly Bodies tag team sets, you get the final Jim Cornette variant at only half price. And we've got sales coming up in November. If you register your email address on the homepage of JimCornette.com, you will get an email every week telling you about a deep discount on one of our items that is the brainchild of Hotchkiss Featherbottom to give a holiday season gift to you, the fine customer of Cornette's Collectibles. He's a marketing genius. I'm telling you, this guy.
Is he paying you to say nice things about him
and
go to his shows?
He plays the flute with his nose. What more can you ask? Should have seen
for better help.
What now? What he doesn't?
Well, once again, Cornette's Collectibles at JimCornette.com. Despite who Jim works with, it's a fine place to get your merchandise.
He's got his finger on the pulse of the customer. That's why he comes up with all these great ideas to make the shopping experience at JimCornette.com more convenient and pleasurable.
Well, Jim, on that topic, why don't we talk about some of the stuff you watched this week? And on the topic of convenient and pleasurable, 2-hour Raw. We're being a little spoiled by this. I know Netflix wants the full 3 hours, but Raw being 2 hours is so much more manageable.
Could we do some kind of petition? Like, please, Netflix, please don't give us any more. Would that work, I wonder?
Any more of that accent? What was that accent?
And that's the little Dickens urchin. Please, sir, could I have some more? The gruel of the thing.
You could have stopped at Little Dick.
Oh, for heaven's sake. What are you going to... See, now you've upset Harley.
What?
She's laying over there.
All All right. Well,
she's got her little allergy going, her little cough.
We were on a good run of having a good show, and then we went to Raw. But again, it's a pleasurable and considerable, whatever you said before, edition of Raw. Let's go back.
Yes, on October 21st, it was a Monday night. They were in Philadelphia at the Wells Fargo Center, named after the brother of Jackie Fargo himself. I remember Wells never made it into business, but then when he got in banking, he fucking tore it up. And everybody's walking in, right? They're walking in from the parking lot because now that's the new fashionable thing to, shoot everybody walking into buildings, so, at the top of the program. But in this case, as Bronson Reed is walking in, Seth Rollins out of nowhere and blindsided him and beat him up with his own suitcase. And Brian, that's just an embarrassing thing when you get beat up with your own suitcase. And then Seth does the deal where he heads for Gorilla and they do the single camera, follow him through the entranceway into the ring, cut my music. And he wants Bronson Reed out there right now. And all of a sudden, here comes Pierce and security out of the entranceway, and then Bronson Reed beals one guy all the way across the stage, and he runs to the ring. And Seth dives on everybody. And then Bronson Reed just stops him and rolls him in. And more security comes out, and they go back to the floor, and Bronson Reed is going to splash Seth on the desk off of the barricade or whatever. It's KI. You love this shit. You know you do. Then he's flinging the guards everywhere like the Incredible Hulk, and he throws one guy on 5 other ones and goes for the splash off I guess he was either on the barricade or the timekeeper's table or whatever, goes to the announce desk, and Seth moves out of the way, and when he lands on the desk, it exploded, and the side of it bounced up in the fucking air. It was like they had special effects because he's so fucking corpulent and heavy. And boom! And it got a huge pop, and they're chanting holy shit, which they got to figure out a better way to bleep holy shit than just bleep every second and a half, and you don't know what the fuck's going on.
They figured out a better way. Netflix.
You mean we'll get our fix on Netflix? Ladies and gentlemen, we've been doing this stuff way too long. I think that's pretty much consensus of opinion at this point. But anyway, they're holding both of them apart, and the fans are singing Seth Franklin Rollins' song, and the announcers are doing their on-camera standing up because their desk has been demolished. Besides the fact that was like 7 minutes of great shit, is that the first time, I'm trying to think, because I see so many people, because everybody does it so often that somebody gets jumped in the back. But is this the first time that they actually interrupted the walk-in that they've been doing since they got the new producing fellow and just jumped in on that?
Lee Fitting is his name. And
Lee Fitting.
I don't know for certain, but I don't remember another time since they've introduced that they've done anything other than that.
But that's great, because all of a sudden now you're like, oh shit, this was kind of. And again, somebody's going to say, well, he hates it when they do it on AEW. Yeah, because they do it 7 times a show every week. That's the point I'm making. You were kind of lulled into, a bunch of these motherfuckers are going to walk in the building. And all of a sudden, holy shit, and off we go. That's the way you establish what the normal is supposed to be, and then you goddamn, go crazy. But anyway, I like that segment. And I know you like the chaos and the anarchy there, Brian.
Everyone talks about the fine job you did in OVW with Batista and Cena and Lesnar and Orton. But look at all the TV time Kenny Dykstra is getting on TV right now. Or Ken Doane, whatever name he has.
Ken Doane.
He's all over the place. And he looks young, too, still, so.
Well, he had a rocky road to get there. But he was young. That's the problem. Is they sent him to us when he was like 18 years old. Maybe he was 19. And he became a star in his own mind early because of the pressures of being a young man in that position, and then had to be readjusted. I won't mention any names, but apparently he had gotten over. And this, I think, I'm trying to remember. This might have been right after I departed OVW, but whatever the time frame was. But he came out one day, Ken Doane did, in the parking lot of the Davis Arena, and one of the guys, who shall be nameless, was letting the air out of his tires, out of Doane's tires in his car. And Doane said, "What are you doing?" And the guy looked at him and said, "I'm letting the air out of your tires." Because you're a dick. And then, of course, instead of taking that as everybody previously in the wrestling business would have, as holy shit, I guess I'm a fucking dick, I got to do something about this, he called the office and complained and got the guys worse mad at him. But he was a teenager.
And that was his road to being an agent for WWE.
Well, no, there was 18 years in the middle, though, that, you didn't hear much from him.
I like the Bronson Reed, Seth Rollins stuff. It's my favorite stuff with Rollins, even more than the Punk stuff, because it never really went anywhere. I hate the fact they're doing this at Crown Jewel. It's hard to get into a match at 1 PM or whatever, but, I've liked everything with Bronson Reed since Rollins left for a while, and I like this opening segment a lot.
Well, they finally got Reed over as some kind of wrecking ball instead of a guy in a suit that his mother thinks he's nice or whatever all that foolishness was. So that's a positive. And as we mentioned, it's good they also got Bronson Reed away from Brown Strongman, because apparently
he did get hurt. You asked me when they had that match, you said, does he always run like that? Or whatever you said, he's running funny.
Well, yeah, you could tell that the last time that they had whatever they did, he had hurt something in his leg, I believe it was.
Yeah. See, I like that stuff. The stuff with him and Bronson Reed was great to me. It was Jack Pfeffer 2024. I loved it.
Well, I'm sorry. You want a pickle?
But you're right. They got him over as a wrecking ball. And because of his build and his frame, that's the perfect way to do it. And it's the kind of thing that Vince would have never gotten right. And he didn't get right with him for a couple of years. And, look at, in the last year, from Drew McIntyre to this guy, guys that seemed dead. I mean, dead on the roster, they were able to rejuvenate.
Yeah, and or resuscitate.
Yes.
Would you rather be rejuvenated or resuscitated?
By who?
Or regurgitated?
By who?
Well, it just depends. If you're going to make it, you can't be picky. It's like, no, don't give me mouth to mouth. Wait till somebody better looking comes along. Well, fucking die then. But anyway, speaking of dying, Lillian Garcia was back for old Sam Irvin. Oh, Sam, we barely knew ye. As we mentioned on the previous program that we did, Samantha Irvin has given her notice, and a very kind and flattering and complimentary message she sent out to all her co-workers and fans and et cetera, that she's moving on to. Do we know what she's moving on to yet? Because automatically old Ricochet tweeted that she's not coming to AEW, so ha, because people were on him or whatever the fuck. But do we know where she's moving on? I'm moving on.
Yeah, Ricochet's promos on Twitter, turns out, are better than the ones with his words.
Well, that's because you can't hear his voice on Twitter. That helps it immensely, because it's not the words he uses, it's the tonal quality in which they're delivered with the emotionless. But nevertheless, where's Sam going?
I think a lot of people are assuming that it's music. It's a music project of some sort. There are rumors that she wanted to do more musically, and WWE, for whatever reason, didn't want her to, or didn't want her to do what she wanted, or who knows exactly what. This is a different company than it was a few years ago, and there are plenty of people who do outside projects in that company.
Well, that's just what I was just going to say, is that there's a bunch of people. But did they want possibly a piece of something, or want her to do the outside projects inside? Because now they own, agenting firms and bull riding and every kind of fighting in the world, and Hollywood Gaga, perhaps tanning salons, a chain of goddamn health food stores. We don't know what these people are into. Did they want her to be on their record company or something, or have some involvement in her personal business?
Well, we don't know.
And a woman has the right to do what she wants with her own vocal cords, Well,
she's under contract. But I mean, I get your point, but yes. What did you think? We're talking about Samantha Irvin. We just put up a clip about that, obviously. Lillian Garcia returning. She looks great for her age, but she is someone... What is
her age? I don't know how old she would be.
Hold on. Someone told me this a few years ago.
Is she like 63 in that case? Oh, yeah. Would that be a gilf? She's what?
58.
58 years. Is that a gilf?
Listen, I don't know what kind of videos you watch. I don't know what goes on over there with you.
Well, I did not even know they made those, but maybe she could corner the market. She's 58 years old.
But they're bringing her back. Again, she is a...
How did they get her that quick? Didn't Sam just give her notice like that afternoon? I mean, she didn't work out any kind of goddamn 2-week fucking notice period or anything. Was Lillian just happened to be there? How did this come together, Brian? What do your sources say?
My sources have not really had too many... They've been busier than looking into the Lillian Garcia beat. I must apologize. But my question is going to be...
We should have had the airport staked out, but what's your question?
My question is, Lillian Garcia returning, a voice from, a good period of time. I mean, what was it, 20 years? I mean, when did she start? The late 90s?
I don't know. I never knew her. Well, so it must have been after 99. I don't remember her being around till I moved to Louisville and got away from these people.
Is that the right thing to do? WWE, their ring announcers seem to get more attention today than they, have since Howard Finkel. Do you go back to someone like that, or do you try to develop a new ring announcer? Do you have...
Well, no, I doubt. I mean, she might be there next week, but I don't think this is, a reprise of past glory. It sounds like that they didn't know. They either didn't know that Samantha was going to be leaving, or they knew she was going to be leaving, but they wanted a familiar name to soften the shock while they transition somebody. They've got other ring announcers in the company, don't they? I mean, if something had happened to Samantha, like she got whooping belch or something, would there have been somebody else to fill in the entire WWE umbrella?
Yeah, the woman who does SmackDown, the guy on NXT. I mean, there are various people.
Yeah, so I know they want a different person on each show, but it sounds like they didn't know a lot ahead of time. They thought, well, we don't want people to think, something's being disrupted or call attention to it, so we'll have Lillian Garcia come back. But would she want, at almost 60 years old, to go back on the road every fucking Monday night and potentially to Saudi fucking Arabia to do this shit? Especially they give her the big introduction and welcome her back, and she blows her first introduction. Maybe she looks great for 58, but the Alzheimer's is setting in early.
Come on.
She said it was a #1 containers tournament. On the left, we have boxes from Uline. On the right, we have
Tupperware
from Seal Test, and the Tupperware will be the special referee. And the #1 containers tournament. But I don't think this is... No, I mean, I'm not saying anything against her either, but I would think they would want... If they want all these young people to be watching, they would want, one of their young, fresh, ring announcers. Except, well, I don't know why the guy on NXT with that hair and that wardrobe, why they think anybody'd watch that. But looks like fucking Emmett Kelly's love child. Kids are going to have to Google that one, aren't they?
Don't Google that, kids, but let's move on.
There's nothing wrong with Emmett Kelly.
But if you Google Emmett Kelly's love child, you may get some weird AI image.
Well, you might. Actually, he'd be the love child of Emmett Kelly and fucking Kenny McIntosh. That's what it would be. Anyway, so where were we? Oh, the new gay. God damn it.
We weren't there. That's how I could tell you.
The New Day wrestled. See, The New Day wrestled.
I thought nothing was going to top Netflix. And then you hit me with the new gay.
All right, nutfuck. The New Day wrestled Karrion Kross's crew. What is their the final?
The Dukes of
The Dukes of Revelation. That would be fucking great.
The Final Testament. I forgot that's what it was. And you said final. That's right.
And everybody that joins the group fills out their last will and testament because it kills their careers. And there's poor Paul Ellering there and now we know what he's there for. He's there to fucking take a bump. They beat up the oldest guy in the group. The girl, Scarlett Pimpernel, there again, a fucking classic literary reference on a wrestling podcast. You got Cross back there looking like, goddamn member of the, board of directors of a massage parlor. And then the two fat guys I decided to try to watch this because.
Oh, thank God.
Well, they look like two bouncers from the bar across the street wandered into the arena, and they work like it too. And I mean, either they were, the timing was a step off, or the punch was a little step off, or the whole thing was a step off. And the New Day were trying, and heaven knows we haven't been fans of theirs. But my God, it was like they were trying to work with two fucking beached walruses here. And I've seen leaves falling off the trees here lately be more exciting than a lot of parts of this, because what the fuck could you do? And it looks like they're either confused or blown up or whatever, these two guys. And the break spot was The Miz walking out to the ring. That picked... I mean, usually it's a dive or somebody gets thrown through furniture or whatever. There's Miz walking out, and it picked up the business in the match. And then when they came back, they were focusing on Miz and Cross talking to each other at ringside. And Occam and Razor are these, and I wrote, how did this get on the main roster? And then I'm thinking, I met these guys one time. You know what they said to me?
No, you met them?
Yeah, they said, Mr. Cornette, did you see our last match? And I said, son, I certainly hope so. And finally, Kofi made a comeback on one of the human waterbeds. And R-Truth came down and tackled The Miz at ringside, and that got a big pop. They'd been waiting to see something, and he nailed Cross, and then Kofi rolled up at a fat-ass number one. I don't know which. 1, 2, 3. So, and then the New Day both leave, and they're going back to the locker room, and they're in the entranceway, but R-Truth is there celebrating. But the 5 fucking heels are still there, so they all jump R-Truth. And Kofi wants to go back and help him and make the save, but Woods is holding him back. Hey, it's not our business. But Kofi's like, no, we should go. No, don't do it. He was not trying to break free, right? And to me, did you see that? He was like, no, stay back here. But we should go. Motherfucker, you're a grown man. How is this guy, unless he's fighting you, how's he really holding you back if you really want to go? Is my point. Did you see that, Brian?
Yeah, Kofi could have gone to the ring anytime he wanted.
Yes. So then all of a sudden the lights went out and the piano music started. And I know that when the violins begin, the violence begins. But now we know when the piano music starts, the penises appear.
I'm sorry?
Well, because the lights came on and the Wyatts were in the ring and a bigger bunch of dicks I've never seen. And they beat up the heels, and the two fat guys couldn't even get beat up very well. And then they fought out in the crowd. And the heels have a lot of heat. Nobody was trying to knife them or anything, but The Miz is still in the ring. He's saved himself. He's hid. Everybody else has run off or whatever the fuck. And all of a sudden in the ring appears Uncle Howdy behind him, and right as he's gonna grab Miz and give him the whatever the fuck they call the thing that he gives people. Poor Paul Ellering. What is he? He's like 72 or whatever. He never gets to speak. He never gets to interfere. He's almost never even referred to anymore. He's there for whatever reason. We have no idea. Well, finally, he shoves the Miz out of the way, and Captain Howdy snatches him in the mandible claw and clawed him to death. See, he couldn't give him the fucking move because Jesus Christ. But now he put the mandible claw on him and put him down and cranked it until Paul was laying there completely unconscious and immobile, and potentially he is expired and is no longer with us from the mandible claw.
You know, I was just thinking the other day, I guess they kind of gave up on the Wyatt thing because they were really shoving it down our throat, and then it kind of went away, and then here it was. And it had that moment, which it's almost AEW-esque. The baby faces go to get the heel, and the old man heel sacrifices himself to save the other diabolical heel, and then he dies at the hands of the baby faces. Right? Like, what? And no one cares about Ellering. Like, there's been nothing done to establish him on this show. He's never said anything.
Well, no, the only emotion they got from that was, why are they doing that to poor old Paul Ellering? He hadn't done anything to anybody.
Did you see him sitting in the corner waiting for it? Because he didn't know what to do. Why everyone's brawling around. What's Ellering going to do? He's not going to go out there and throw a punch or take a punch. So he just kind of squatted in the corner.
Honestly, I wouldn't bet against Paul in a shoot situation against at least half of this roster, especially Miz, but he probably didn't want any of these fuckers to potato him accidentally. But there you have it.
Well, you know, Jim, a lot of people think that the reason Paul Ellering hasn't been talking is because actually all these appearances he's been making, he's been listening to music, and you just don't notice it.
Well, yeah, because he's got the Raycon everyday wireless earbuds in. That way he doesn't have the wires hanging out of his ear, and you don't see it. Because especially on a man his age, if you did see it, you might think, well, hearing aids, but you can't really see these at all because they have the vibrant colored skin tone shaded activity going on. I double negative that. They have a variety of vibrant colors is what. So you don't just have white or black. It's not just a black and white issue. They got all the colors of the rainbow and polka dotted if you're a Dusty Rhodes fans. But here's the thing. You know, Brian, they've got the Black Friday where they have the big sales, right? People are trampled, gored, impaled and disemboweled over at Target and Kmart and Walmart and places like that on Black Friday, right? Have you heard about, they got the Cyber Monday now. Have you heard about that?
I prefer Blue Tuesday.
Well, it's just another Manic Monday under normal circumstances, but on Cyber Monday, they do the same thing, I guess, online, where people take their computers and bash each other over the head with them. But you don't have to wait for those things, is the point I'm trying to make. You do not have to wait for Black Friday or Cyber Monday. You know, the Mouse's Ear used to have Titty Tuesday.
Did they really?
They were 50% off. You only got to see one. But here's the thing.
How does that help the customer?
Well, it's cheaper. Raycon gives you these prices every day of the week.
Is it cheaper or is it full price if you want to see both?
Well, it's full price plus a tip if you want to see both, pal. What kind of piker are
Plus
you?
a
Think you're
tip?
going to get nipple for the cover charge?
Is there a drink minimum?
As many as you can. That's the minimum. But with Raycon, like I said, you're getting these prices every day of the week, and you get to see both of them at the same time when you stick them in your ears. And they are about the size of the nipples that there used to be. Well, nevertheless, it's like having nipples in your ear.
It's not like that. You see,
it can be like having oral sex, AURAL.
Nevertheless was the clean break.
Nipple in your ear.
No, again, let's move. Let's talk about Raycon in your ear with good music, good sounds,
good music. Nipple in your ear, sunroof top, dig in the scene with a gangster lean. Ooh. But nevertheless, you can play whatever you want on the 32-hour battery life that the Raycons provide for you, and also the active noise cancellation. And also the incredible multi-point connectivity that can see you connect to multiple points of things. You Raycon and earbud aficionados know exactly what I'm talking about. So I wish you'd explain it to me. But nevertheless, Raycon's quality rivals some of the biggest names in premium audio at just half the price as these other guys, the price gougers. That's what they are, selling you overpriced stuff to stick in your head when Raycon will sell you stuff to stick in your head that's just as good for half the money. So you can save the half of the money and stick it in some other orifice. And I mentioned the vibrant colors, and now's the perfect time to scoop them up because guess what? The discount is if you go to buy Raycon, that's BUYRAYCON, buyraycon.com/JCE. Guess what the discount is, Brian?
What?
30%.
Wow.
Not 20, not 25, as we often offer, 30% on anything site-wide. So if you order 25 pairs of earbuds, you would save enough money to finance a revolution in a small banana republic. And that's just, and if you tell your financial advisor that, he'll know exactly how to record it. So go to buyraycon.com/JCE right now. Don't even listen to the rest of it. Put our program on pause. Do this now. Come back to us. We'll wait on you. 30% off site-wide.
That's right. Get that Jim Cornette Gangsta Lean with Raycon. One more time. What's that?
What's that song? Nipple in your ear, sunroof top, dig in the scene with a gangster lean. Ooh.
That's not the song, but let's find out how listeners can get that song one more time.
Get that song. Go to buyraycon.com/JCE, 30% off site-wide and that song.
Nipples not included. But let's go back to Raw, Jim. Raw rolls on.
Well, it's rolling on. Adam Pearce was in the back. He was about to make a major declaration when all of a sudden here, Bronson Reed and Seth Franklin Rollins getting another big fucking fight and go over the equipment cases. And everybody screaming and trying to pull them apart. And, well, obviously we can't grieve forever, so we get out of that. But it's starting to become a recurring theme, Brian. And then they did a recap from SmackDown of the Bloodline and what's going on, because tonight, which we'll talk about when it happens later tonight, Bronson Reed is challenging Jey Uso for the Intercontinental title. And also because the Bloodline is the big story. It's the headline story in the company. And then we got Liv and Raquel versus Damage Control. And I've got to so I'm not going to critique the match because, these things are what they are, but I got to make an observation about Raquel Rodriguez or Raquel Gonzalez.
You don't have to.
Oh, I do have to, because I'm going to make it. I've got a song I want to sing, and I'm going to sing it. But what did they change her name to? God damn it now.
It's Raquel Rodriguez.
Okay, it's Rodriguez. It was Gonzalez before when the point is, We first saw her in NXT, I believe it was Raquel Gonzalez. And I said, boy, she's got size and she's got a look. She's not a cute little Barbie doll. She's not a happy little girl that's achieving her childhood dream. She's got a striking look and, maybe they could do something, right? And then the next time that I saw her, I think is when they brought her up to the Met. That's when they made her Raquel Rodriguez. And she kind of, for a short time, I believe, still looked like Raquel looked. And then, remember, they lightened her hair and they gave her a fluff and they had her wearing a bunch of girly makeup and they had her smiling from ear to ear like a goddamn deranged circus clown and doing the back spread, which was good, but that's it. But otherwise, they had made her so girly as, oh, this is a Vince. He's taken away, what was it kind of intimidating about her? Do you remember me commenting on that?
I do, yes. And it's on YouTube.
Well, now, and what is that YouTube channel, Brian?
The official Jim Cornette YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube and search for Jim Cornette. It'll come right up.
I keep forgetting about that. But anyway, so now they've gone all the way back the other way, and she's actually even more intimidating and more sinister and more unsmiling and, whatever the fuck. And she's supposed to be, and she's supposed to look mean, but they went, it's like fucking LA Knight and the male model thing. They went completely away from what was first interesting about a person and then end up after 3 years or 6 months or however long it was with LA Knight, they go right back. And I love the idea of Raquel being the Diesel to Shawn Michaels is Liv Morgan. Would you say that's kind of a fair comparison for our look and vibe and the little smart ass and the big fucking enforcer, right? Is that a far-fetched comparison to make?
No, I think it's fair.
Then why do they have her stooging for these goddamn, Japanese cousins of Diamond Lil and Darlin Dagmar and doing this overly choreographed, phony-looking bullshit that just kills her aura? Could you see Kevin Nash adopting the same philosophy of flying for fucking Kai and Tai? No. Okay, so I don't know what they're fucking doing here. But nevertheless, that's the thing is that they haven't had time to build this relationship, and because these other girls have been used in a prominent position, apparently they feel like they gotta, fly around for it, but it's overly choreographed, too complicated shit that you can't, Raquel nor really anyone could do smoothly or should be doing smoothly. And it makes her look like she's doing it on purpose, and that just kills the deal. And then also on the way to the ring, Liv and Raquel were announced by Lillian Garcia as accompanied by Dominic Mysterio, and he wasn't even there.
Yeah, it was the first thing she said, and they're both out there. You're like, where's he? Is he in the ring?
Yeah, so anyway, the match, somehow Lash Legend and Jakarta Jackson beat up the baby faces and were facing off with Liv and Raquel, and it was a DQ, and here comes Rhea Ripley. So now business picks up. And that's when Rhea hits the ring, now they want to see this. And she gets the fight with Raquel and pulls the rope, and Raquel bumps to the floor, and she grabs Liv and knee lifts her and gets the clover leaf on and holds her up off the ground, which looked great. And then drop kicks Raquel and goes back to Liv and goes for the riptide. And there's Dominic. So they again, poor Lillian Garcia probably in some type of meeting after the meeting. They had their production meeting. Dominic was going to be at ringside. Then the agent laid the match out. And then they realized, well, it'd be better if Dominic shows up as a surprise instead of all this other shit he don't need to be out there for. And nobody told Lillian. That's how that kind of shit happens. But anyway, that's, so there's Dominic, and he pulls Liv to safety, and then Rhea jerks Dominic in over the top rope and gets a huge pop and puts a cloverleaf on him. And Liv and Raquel both together pull him out. And that part was some great shit. That made you forget about the match, which was bleh. But again, Rhea Ripley and Liv are, and now with Raquel, that issue, and Dominic, the people are fucking loving. Your thoughts?
I can't add too much to that expert analysis of the entire deal there, as they say.
The whole deal, the whole dang deal. What is it they're calling the clover leaf? Is when she being Rhea, intertwines her arms around the victim's legs and, stands up with them. And I'm trying to think what they're calling it now, but nevertheless, that's impressive. And nobody else, well, male or female, has been doing that for I don't know how long. And I don't think there's too many other females that could do it. It's perfect for her. But as I said, it made you forget about the match. And then at 9:00, there's Adam Pearce, who's about to make a very important proclamation. And Bronson Reed comes in and tackles Seth Rollins, and boom, and have a big pull apart. It's the third one of the night. And finally, Pearce flips. And it sounded just like when he used to flip at Ring of Honor. No, I'm kidding. But he made the match for the crown jewel. He said, "You idiots, I was going to give you what you wanted anyway. You didn't have to do all of this, but goddamn it." He didn't say goddamn it. He would have got bleeped. The match is on for crown jewel. So now they're loading up crown jewel, which, as you mentioned earlier in the program, it makes you almost, when you're trying to get up for something, almost sick to your stomach when you're trying to get up for a big fight at 1 PM or whatever.
Is it start at 1?
Well, I don't know. You said that earlier.
I did say that earlier.
Are they in?
Didn't they start at 11 once?
Well, I mean, you never know when these people are going to start. But is there any way you can Google that so that we know whether to dread it or not? I mean, between now and later.
WWE Crown Jewel.
As Mama Cornette would say, just do it before it's over with.
1 PM on Peacock.
What time is it on everything else?
Well, it'll be on everything. It'll be on Peacock. That's the official home.
Peacock!
1 PM.
Peacock! Peacock! Here's something for you anti-abortion people. If an embryo is a real person, then why doesn't a fried egg taste like fried chicken?
Okay, what the fuck? Where did this come from? We're talking about Crown Jewel.
The bird noise made me think, the peacock!
Made you think of a bird embryo?
Made me think, well, that's just an interesting question. Have you ever thought about that?
I had not thought about it. It is an interesting question.
If an embryo is a person, why doesn't a fried egg taste like fried chicken? See? Think about that.
Any other interesting thoughts you have here today?
Well, we're coming up on Mysterio and Dragon Lee with old Zelina against the Creed brothers, Green and his brother Goose Shit.
I did not watch this match.
Boy, I'll tell you what. The baby faces won. And at the start of the match, we discovered that Trick Williams, our old friend Trick from NXT, he was at ringside, and a guy right behind him wearing a Cornette face t-shirt. Thank you very much, young man, for the... And those are available also at JimCornette.com, along with the thank you, fuck you, bye shirts that are back on sale.
Yeah, he had a sign. What was it? It was like, hello, Quincy, or...
No, hello, Wheezy.
Wheezy.
Hello, Wheezy. It may have been George Jefferson. They were, they were in Philadelphia. Where were the Jeffersons? Where were they living? They were in New York, weren't they? Yeah.
On the east side.
So they're only 100 miles.
100 miles?
To Philadelphia?
New York to Philadelphia? It has to be much less than that.
Well, it's about, it's goddamn, sometimes it can be 5 hours to drive, but I thought about 90 or 100 miles. Well, Google that then, son of a bitch.
No, you don't have to call me names. You don't have to call me names, fuckface. What is that?
I say that with all the love in the world, but
80 miles.
All right, so goddamn 100 miles. It depends on which part of the boroughs you leave and which fucking part of goddamn.
That's
if you
wrong.
go to Camden.
Wait, hold on. That's wrong.
Oh, okay. Now you change your story.
That's if you fly. It's 80 miles if you fly. The shortest distance between New York and Philadelphia airline is 80.56 miles.
Okay,
shortest...
well, I've never flown to New York from Philly or vice versa because that would be idiotic to fly 80 miles.
But 94 miles, it's saying here.
All right,
97 miles, another source is saying.
Do I hear 100?
No one's saying 100, though. That's why you're completely wrong. You just have to admit you're completely
I'm completely wrong. It was 97 miles.
97.3, apparently.
Almost 98.
No, almost 97. We're not rounding up from 3 to the next whole number. Get out of here. What, are you giving away our money? What is this?
I'm just, how much is this going to cost? What am I buying?
I'm going to have to check out Netflix and see what I could do to take care of this situation.
Well, I'll stick with Peacock. Anyway, so they were in the back. And for some reason that I came in the middle of, Carlito is pitching the idea to Pierce that Dominic should face Gunther. And and Pierce was laughing at that. And Pierce said if Dominic can beat a former world champion, then he'll think about it. So next week, somehow Dominic is going to end up beating somebody who was accidentally a world champion at something. And then we're going to salivate to see Gunther chop him until his kids are born dizzy. That's basically the thought process, don't you think?
Was this the segment that everyone was talking about with Carlito? Because I didn't watch it when it first aired.
Well, yeah, that had to be because that was the only one.
Oh, because, he got in trouble. Or the word is that he got in trouble for his ad lib. Were Damage Control in the room also?
Oh, good Lord, I can't remember. I think it was just him. Well, they may have passed like 2 ships in the night, one of those type of deals. But I don't know, because I saw it was Carlito and I wasn't going to fucking watch. And then I said, oh, fuck it, I'll stop. And he's pitching this match. So I don't know what he might have ad-libbed.
Well, let me see what I can find here. But the story...
Well, if you're going to cover this beat, yeah, I want to know now what in the fuck's going on here.
I thought you would have seen it. It was all that anyone was talking about with Carlito. It's all anyone has ever talked about with Carlito.
Well, but the thing is, I don't know what the script was, so I don't know what he might have ad-libbed. I want to find out and get to the root of it if some pro wrestler actually bothered to goddamn come up with some shit on his own around here these days.
All right, there's various people who it looks like have put a version of this on YouTube. Let me see if any of these work.
Guys, listen. I saw it. Listen, I saw what they did. I saw what Lash and Jakar did. I'm going to talk to the other GMs. Trust me on this. We're going to figure out a solution. We're going to figure it out, okay? I give you my word. Thank you. Let me get through tonight.
Now, see, there was where that the Damage Control folks would have been involved in there, and they're getting something, and then Carlito apparently walks in when we want to make sure that we've set the scene properly.
Pierce is dealing with Damage Control as general manager. Here comes Carlito.
I gotta learn Chinese.
So apparently, he said, I gotta learn Chinese. So there's a lot of people upset because they think it's, I guess, racially insensitive that he would say that, the Carlito character who's the dimwit of Judgment Day.
What the fuck? He's a dimwit heel.
That's what I thought too. It's like, how can you get upset about that?
Didn't we establish that one of those girls was not from Japan but was Chinese at one point the group, or not?
No, that was she's gone now. That was Xia Li.
Oh.
This is Io Sky and Kairi Sane, and them and Asuka, who's been injured. They're all Japanese.
Oh.
And they barely said anything there, as you heard, and I guess they just chattered as they walked out. And Carlito decided to walk in and ad-lib.
I gotta learn Chinese.
I gotta learn Chinese. So a lot of people were really upset, and apparently WWE didn't appreciate him deciding to show his improv skills here at this moment.
The fuck? He's a fucking goofy heel. It doesn't. They've been listening to R-Truth for fucking 15 years. Blather on. Again, there are legitimate problems in the world, and people had time to get mad about a fucking ad lib that I couldn't hear.
Well, they've edited out. They edited the phrase out of whatever's online now and everything.
Oh my God! Now, my God, what does he say? I got to learn to eat pussy. What the fuck is he saying?
Because if he said to me, that's what made it almost work. Not to really put over the comedic stylings of Carlito.
Appearing at the Boom Boom Room.
But that the putz from the Judgment Day would hear two Japanese women talking to each other and think that they're talking in Chinese. Because he wants to know what they're saying. But again, people...
Especially since technically English is his second language because he is Puerto Rican and is a native Hispanic fellow. So are they supposed to know down in Puerto Rico the difference in the dialects between the various Asian countries?
Well, again, whether or not there's an issue with what he said, and I think a lot of people thought there was, do you want to be generous, your mid-card talent ad-libbing on your live show? Like that. In this specific case, for instance.
Well, and for one thing, that's not even an ad lib as much as an aside or a throwaway line or whatever that you would put into something that you were doing that was scripted just to make it look more natural as you come in and other people are talking or whatever. And I would have never batted an eye at hearing that or thinking that. But yes, I wouldn't really, particularly if I was booking, put anybody on my TV show that couldn't fucking ad lib and make the shit that I gave them better. If they couldn't do that, I wouldn't want them on the show. Even in OVW, I always said, here is your story. It's written down because I don't have the time to go around and tell it all to every 25 guys that's on the show individually 3 times. So I'm telling you once, and it's written down exactly what I'm telling you. Now, there's the story you're telling. Make it yours. Put it your own words. If I want you to say something specifically, that's underlined. And so there's going to be some element of ad-libbing unless they're just reciting shit that was written for them by some slap nuts, as Jeff would say. And that's what it sounds like a lot of these guys are doing. So I don't have sympathy for people who don't like ad-libbing. And hey, some of them don't work. Some of them fall flat. As long as you don't say fuck on TV, I'm probably going to be on your side.
And again, if you're someone who has a problem with this, why exactly? That's what I don't understand. It's a character who's a moron. It's a moron character who doesn't know the language of the two people that just walked by him.
Yeah, wait, but you think Carly's going to be sitting out there going, God damn it, wish they'd lay off the moron shit.
No, I'm not saying a real guy. I mean, I'm sure he's a genius in real life. I'm sure he's brilliant.
He graduated a number of major universities.
But the point is, if the character went in there and said something smart or intelligent, it wouldn't have worked. The issue is whether or not he should ad-lib or not in a highly scripted situation like that is.
Again, I haven't performed for the organization over the past few years to know how scripted it is. It appears to be very scripted, but who has flexibility or what they consider an ad lib? I mean, my God, do you have to say hello instead of hi? Or what is these people's criteria to stick to the fucking printed page? But that's why there's so little emotion in any of this except from the very best performers. The middle card guys, to me, the middle card talent are the ones that suffer more from just being scripted out the ass because, then they sound like everybody else and they don't have the pull yet to say, hey, I can do this fucking promo. Just give me the goddamn gist of it. And so they just have to do the same shit all the time.
Hey, 2 things. 1, if you're Adam Pearce, what do you think of Carlito saying that all of a sudden right next to you when you don't expect it? And 2, what do you think of the new trend of them seemingly getting photocopies of program covers
Yeah.
and posters and taping them to the wall. It doesn't look very professional at all, but it's nice to have, I guess. But what do you think of that?
Well, yeah, I've got the Dusty program is from the Atlanta program, the Ringsider. I've got that one. It's like a 1976-ish era. There's a Crockett Promotions poster from the Mid-Atlantic. I think is it Roanoke or somewhere in Virginia. The multicolored poster, although that's a reproduction that's smaller than the real ones were. And then, but yeah, just some program covers of the Peter Maivia's in there. I mean, I get that they're,
of course,
well, yeah, obvious reasons, but I get that they're trying to decorate, you know, and pay homage to the greats and the legends, but it could look a little bit more professionally put together, couldn't it? Than we ran this off on the machine and just stuck it up today.
Yeah, everything just looks like it's from a color printer.
Yeah, TNA built a fucking fishbowl for Shark Boy to live in. The WWE can't at least get frames from Target.
Otherwise, we believe that the general manager said, "Someone please make me color photocopies of Peter Maivia and Fred Blassie on programs." I really want that Fred Blassie photo in my office.
But anyway, who were we talking about and what was happening when we did?
I think we finished talking about Carlito and
Carly. Oh, and the ad, and just with Pierce. You said, "What do you think Pierce thought?" I bet you it didn't even register on. I've done promos with Pierce in Ring of Honor, and you know, you say things when you walk in or you walk out or whatever that just off the cuff that. He probably, and also Pierce being of a certain age, he's probably thinking, yeah, this is a fucking idiot on Gilligan's Island. So, of course, he'd say something like that. And they went on with their business, and nobody thought anything about it until somebody decided, oh, my God, what the hell? That's terrible. What in the fuck? There's real things going on in the world until November 5th. Then hopefully everything will be back to normal or there will be no world. But you don't need to get mad about that.
No.
Are you mad?
I'm not mad. I thought that was the, okay, let's move on with this.
Well, this is your show. I'm waiting for direction.
It's your Raw. I thought there was more Raw.
No, but there is the main event's coming up. But I'm a goddamn professional. I'm waiting until the host asks me.
You're a professional.
You move on.
You don't even need a host. That's how professional you are. You're an amazing talent.
Yes, well, now's the time to start telling the truth. So it's Jey Uso and Braun Breaker for the Intercontinental title. And Jey came out the entranceway tonight, or that night, or on that event. Instead of through the crowd down the bowl, I wonder, was there a security concern? They were in Philadelphia. That's where they took fucking Doink down.
I think the concern was he was going to blow himself up if he went through the crowd. He wouldn't be able to work the match.
You know, that may be possible. Also, because he can't do a fucking promo after he does his entrance. How's he going to go 20 minutes with Braun fucking Breaker, right? So, but there was still the waving and the yeeting and everything. So it's over. It gave him a break. Because, those fucking stairs are steep, too. But again, I want to see this match. And they start out with a fight and Braun gets clotheslined to the floor and they go to break in 30 seconds. I'm like, And I think, I think they went through 2 breaks on this. So it was broken up, and truthfully, until we got to the meat of the matter, this was not, I don't want to do a disservice to Braun because it wasn't necessarily his fault. Although part of it was in terms of, unless Jey Uso just said, unless we do this convoluted back and forth on the apron and the floor where the referee has to stand there slack-jawed and not count us, and nothing happens for an inordinately long period of time until finally something happens. Unless Jey Uso said, unless we do that, I'm not going to fucking work with you, then part of it's Braun's fault. But when Braun's in control and his heel aggression and attitude and the pace, the methodical way he picks people apart, that's great. But when they were trying to go back and forth with him and Jay, and I don't know whether it's a case of, I don't believe Jey Uso's timing is the greatest in the world and Braun's green. But the first part of the match was not as scintillating as we have come to expect from Braun Breaker. Would you agree?
Yeah, I didn't think it was too special of a match.
And Braun hit the Breakensteiner, running and leaping to the top, and that was another break spot, blah, blah, blah. But finally, it didn't really click or whatever until Uso finally hit a spear, boom, and got a 2 count. And then here came Solo and Jacob Fatu showing they've got tickets. They bought front row seats. I wonder if those 2 seats on the front row were open all night long. Because it's almost 10 o'clock. The show's almost off the air. They just got here. Do you think they went to that length, or did they just fucking move somebody out in a previous break?
That's a good question. I'm not sure.
I know somebody that has a Cornette face shirt was there in the audience. I'd like to hear a report. But anyway, so then now...
You better file that report, you understand?
You better file that report. You're indebted to me if you're wearing my clothing on national television. I need papers. So Jay goes to the floor to talk to Solo. What are you doing? Solo's like, I'm trying to help you. And Braun takes over, but Jay posts Braun, and then the Tongas appear. And Jay super kicks both of those guys. And Solo comes over the rail and argues with Jay. And Braun goes for the big spear, but Solo shoves Jay out of the way, and Braun spears Solo. I mean, what the fuck now? And Braun puts Jay back in the ring, but Jacob is not happy. And he comes over the rail, and when Braun Breaker and Jacob Fatu face off, the people were fucking going crazy.
Yeah, what'd you think of that moment?
And again, they've got so many matches that they don't even need to have yet, that the people will go apeshit over. It's insane. But yeah, can you imagine Braun Breaker? Because Braun will be a heel until he gets over to the main event level, and the people are going to switch him babyface before they actually switch him babyface. But he's too good to not like. The dogs are barking and what they're already giving him his shit, but he's still a badass, and that's what's going to make him a bigger babyface eventually. But against Jacob Fatu, that with the proper build, they can get a fucking huge deal out of that. And the fans were barking. And then Jay dove on both of them, which he would do, and broke up the potential before they had to fight, right? Before it was like, well, goddamn it, do something. And then they go back to the ring, and Jay comes off the top rope, but Braun raises his knees. But Jay goes goes with 2 super kicks or kicks of some kind, and a spear and a splash, gets a 2 count. And as the agents are down at ringside kicking the Tongas out, Jacob gives Jay the big kick, and Samoan drops him on the fucking desk. And then Braun rolls him in and hits him with the spear, 1, 2, 3, and wins the belt back. New champion. And so now, this is perfect, I've got to say. Again, I was upset when they took it off Braun that quick. But they obviously had this in mind, which means they're booking weeks and weeks and weeks, if not months and months and months out. But the way that they did this was they put it on Braun to establish him. They took it off to make sure that their main event, Jey Uso, didn't flatten out, and then took it off of Jay again as a way to put more heat on the story that he's in with the bloodline. And Braun ends up champion again, but the whole thing didn't hurt him in the end. Bravo, I say. That's a golf clap. But what'd you think?
I thought the ending was exciting. I thought the match kind of stunk.
Well, yeah. We've established that.
We also...
You wouldn't say that to Braun Breaker's face, I bet you.
I don't know. Where are we? Where's this happening?
Well, it's you've got a choice of either in public with many witnesses or in the dark in the back of a building all alone.
Do I have any of my weaponry on me?
Only what you normally carry around on the street.
Oh, I'll cut him in half. He'll kick my ass if he gets to use his hands or feet, but I will slice him to bits.
You got those box of awesome knives hidden in your pants.
The title change when it happened a little while back, you weren't very happy about it. You didn't think the timing was right. They were just establishing Braun. Now that you see what they're doing and how this feeds into... The Jey Uso part feeds into now the bigger bloodline thing, because obviously it was a point of family pride. They made a big deal of pointing that out, that he won an Intercontinental Championship. Every area of the family was talking about that. Now he's lost it because of the bloodline. So knowing that Braun's got the belt back, he didn't have it for a little while, but they still kind of kept him strong. And the Jey Uso having the belt now feeds into the bigger storyline.
Yes, and now Roman can talk to Solo about how he's let the family down because he ruined Jay's accomplishment.
I asked you to help me keep my belt. I never cost you your belt.
Yeah.
Do you think that excuses him losing the belt, Braun Breaker losing the belt to Jey Uso?
Yes. That's why I said it's all worked out even better in the end, because they were able to use the situation to further several different things with a couple of different people. So it actually, bravo. But again, that means they're doing weeks and months out, because can you imagine what would have happened to this if it was AEW with not only Tony's attention span, but also the amount of people, for good, bad, or indifferent, that have input and opinion and sway, and them trying to do something that made sense every week, backwards and forwards, when you reflect and genuflect on it from the end of it, that everything still made sense for a 3-month period. Can you see that in AEW?
No way.
That's what I'm saying. This is what's it doesn't even have to. Remember, everybody always says, well, just wait till you see where it's going. Well, a lot of times when you see where it's going, you can pick it apart in any company. A lot of ex-WWE, with Vince around, changing things on the sperm of the moment. You know, it didn't make sense because they wouldn't have, why'd they do this and this and this? But in this case, this stuff is tight. And you can tell they're working ahead of time. And yes, every once in a while somebody sprains their giblet and they're out of action, but apart from injury, these people are going with a fucking coherent plan. And everybody's in the right place and doing the right things. That's why everybody's over. And the people are screaming for matches they haven't even fucking offered to give them yet. And the other side of the shit is so last minute, and or does, as we'll get to with the Adam Cole fiasco, doesn't make any goddamn sense from the start, and is not even making sense on the same programs, because it's always being changed, or there's no coherent plan to begin with. It's like they say, oh yeah, we're going to shoot this angle now, and in 6 months so-and-so is going to wrestle this guy and it'll be great. And they don't know what the fuck they're going to do in between to get there. Is that a fair comparison from what you're witnessing with your own eyes, Brian Last?
Well, we'll be discussing shortly what I witnessed and what at least a few 100,000 people witnessed. We'll find out how many people witnessed it.
And what the butler saw.
But that was Raw. Of course, Raw is on the USA Network pretty soon, coming to Netflix, AEW, on Warner Brothers Discovery's TBS, and Fox Sports in Mexico. A lot of places, a lot of networks, a lot of streaming services, a lot of countries. You need one source to be able to cut through the crap and get to what you want. Watch the wrestling you want to see, no matter where you are. And Jim, I bet you know someone you could tell everyone about.
Well,
I just bet you do.
I'll tell you what, you're just betting it? Because if you're betting
that's a different one. That's a different
you're
one.
in the wrong fucking...
No, that's a different one. I expressly believe that you may know someone that you could tell everyone about.
Well, that was a very unwieldily worded way to say that, yes, I do know somebody that can unlock the entire world for you, that can make people think that you're places that you're not, that can foil the hackers, that can secure you and your family. These people are even better than a smart 12-year-old. Because did you know, Brian, that a smart 12-year-old with some cheap hardware could hack you? And that's why I've always been against children.
What kind of hardware are they going to hack you with?
Just cheap hardware, the kind you get at a cheap hardware store. And they can make up to $1,000 per person selling your personal identity and information on the dark web. And I'll tell you, I would be insulted. I would offer the guy $2,000 for me. But ExpressVPN will stop any of these hackers from stealing your data by creating a secure encrypted tunnel between your device and the internet. They come with all their own equipment. They do it in one day. They burrow underneath your home and encase a tunnel in concrete. And once they put your computer down there, nobody can get into it.
None of that will happen. Or has
Well,
happened.
it's a secure encrypted tunnel. You know, they make crypts out of things other than concrete these days. So they can actually just pour them and it forms instantly. And they can put you in there in an urn or on a bench or anything. But folks, again, going without ExpressVPN is like leaving your laptop unattended at the coffee shop while you run to the bathroom. By the time you have stopped to wash your hands, somebody could have made off with it. That's why that most people in coffee shops don't wash their hands. So leaving your laptop unattended leads to the spread of disease. Now, what if one day you come out of the bathroom and your hands are clean, but your laptop is gone? What are you going to do then, Brian? What are you going to do then?
I mean, I don't plan on being in this situation, but I could see
Well, that's because you're smart.
Well, thank you very much.
But let's say going online unprotected without ExpressVPN is like leaving your door unlocked when you leave the house. Maybe you can trust some of your neighbors, although I've seen a few of the people that live next door to you.
Have you seen?
But what about the creepy guy down the block? Would you want him to be able to just wander in? What about random What about fans from Virginia Beach?
I don't want any of this, and I don't know why this is such a bad example. Why don't we talk about watching television shows from around the world?
Well, no, with ExpressVPN, you can stay safe online without having to trust random strangers that are not going to walk into your home. ExpressVPN will come over every day and make sure that you've locked your door. And going online...
that won't happen, ladies and gentlemen, if you decide to, as you should, check out ExpressVPN, and this is going awful today, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, I'm trying to tell the people about the service that ExpressVPN provides. It's going online without ExpressVPN is like leaving your kids with the nearest stranger while you go to the restroom. And when you come out, you're going to find that stranger is in another restroom with your kids.
This may not be the best. This is not a good example to use.
This is what they're telling me.
Who?
ExpressVPN. Going online without ExpressVPN is like walking your dog in public without a leash. What if one day your dog runs off and gets dog napped? The people at ExpressVPN don't want to have to leave their desk to go find your dog. So, folks, again, you don't want to be unprotected out in public.
No.
And you don't want to be unprotected on the interwebs because of the hackers and things. And yes, you can, wink, wink, nod, nod, Just program yourself to live in Brazil or Liechtenstein so that you can watch their streaming programs not available in the United States, but also you can encrypt your location so that people, horrible strangers on the dark web, hackers and thieves and identity impersonators and your in-laws, nobody's going to know whether you're in the country or not. And potentially the Internal Revenue Service. But we'll talk about that later in a private conversation.
We will not be talking about that. That is not what this is about. If you want to access the WWE Network no matter where you are, ExpressVPN is the one for you. Tell them about it, Jim.
Well, yes, you could bypass the cock and go right back to the old network if you still live in the Isle of Man. So you can secure your online data today by visiting expressvpn.com/JCE. That's expressvpn.com/JCE. You're going to get 3 months extra for free. 3 months extra protection, security, peace of mind. All for free. If you go to expressvpn.com/JCE.
All right, well, that was scintillating. And Jim, let's move on here with the show. AEW Dynamite, as we are recording, aired last night, another banner episode of the program. I busted out laughing several times. I thought that the comparisons to WCW 2000 were never more apropos than they were maybe last night. With some of the things on that show. The commentary is sinking. I don't even know what else to say. At times, it's like Excalibur forgets how to talk, or can't think of the words to use, or figure out what he's trying to say, and he's losing himself in his own sentences. Have you noticed that?
Well, I mean, it's not new. Maybe it's getting worse, but I've noticed that quite a bit. But also, you know, maybe Taz did help just as a voice of reason in between, you know, the head cheerleader and Sockface, because with old Mac Daddy there, you know, it sounds like he's doing the Nasty Boys' promo. And he's not in any way I'm talking about Mac Daddy here. He's not in any way a personality at the level that you would accept as a color commentator of a national television show. It's not Jesse Ventura. It's not anybody. Right? And oh boy. So maybe Taz was just keeping him afloat by sticking a few words in every once in a while.
I'll tell you, you want to talk about things that are indicative of the whole show going down? That commentating team with Excalibur and Shivani together, it gets worse by the week. They're both incompetent.
And for the fresh new show, the combined age of the announcing team is what, almost 110? Is Tony my age, or is he an older year, and a year older than me?
He's an older year, I believe.
It was a very good year.
Tony Schiavone, 66.
Oh, he's 3 years older than me. Well, and then if Sockface is past 44, then we've hit 110. What's his real name? Does anybody even know how to look him up on anything? Has he ever been important enough to get on Wikipedia?
Hold on, let me check. Excalibur. I gotta specify not the sword. Hold on. Excalibur, the wrestler, 44 years old, Mark Letzman.
Well, I don't know what he lets men do, but I don't do much for me. But nevertheless, that's 110 years is the combined age of the announced team. And I'm trying to think, Brian, hold on, let me do this math.
Well, what are you doing?
I'm doing some math. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. That would have been 30 years ago. Yes, I believe that the combined age of the Smoky Mountain Wrestling commentary team of Bob Caudle and Dutch Mantell was 2 years younger in 1993 than the AEW announced team is now. Just to
How old was Dutch?
In 1993, Dutch was 44, the same age as Sockface.
That's
and
crazy. Wow.
I do not think that Bob Caudle was 66 at that point, because he can't be. Look up Bob Caudle.
Because he was driving to Tennessee.
Well, no. What year was Bob Caudle born?
1930.
He was 60. He's 3 years younger than Tony Schiavone is now. So the Rock and Roll Express were younger than the Young Bucks, and Bob Caudle and Dutch Mantell were 3 years younger as a team than Sockface and Tony Schiavone.
That's crazy. Wow.
Everybody says, oh, you just use the old guys. All right. So anyway, this was AEW from October 23rd. They were in Salt Lake City, Utah. Good Lord. I think the Mormons, I thought, like to have a bunch of children, but apparently not a lot of them went to the... See if you can look up any information on what this building seats for an actual event versus when they do a kid's birthday party. And I'm going to talk about the Open for a second. Because they came on the air again with another one of Moxley's Sundance Film Festival auditions. And he's out in the desert, an actual legitimate desert somewhere. And he's doing his promo over B-roll of them beating up Danielson, and they beat up, this guy and that guy and the other guy. And he says, I hate what AEW has become. And I'm like, join the club, pal. You're just catching on. But Brian, the ominous music that they were playing over this was so loud, I couldn't hear half the shit anyway. Is it just my hearing, my cable company, a different mix? Did you?
I had the same problem.
Issue?
I had the same problem and the same thought. Is it the mix? Because sometimes you could change the audio setting and it'll be, nighttime or sports or movie or whatever it may be. No, I couldn't hear any of this on any of the settings.
All right, well, it's
that
not
sucks,
like
man. His big Breaking Bad moment, and no one could hear a goddamn thing.
Well, it's not like we really would have understood anyway, but I did.
It's like the fucking Cincinnati Patti Smith out there with all of his lyrics.
Cincinnati.
Out there with all of his prose.
Well, because
GLORII.
Because the night belongs to us, but the desert belongs.
Well, she didn't write that. Bruce Springsteen wrote that.
Well, but now, honestly, I think her version was more definitive because
he wrote it for her, yeah.
But the thing is, she had her nipples on the cover of the 45 single picture sleeve through the very opaque white undershirt.
That's what I was always looking for, those nude photos of Patti Smith. Oh, yeah.
Well, hey,
And that armpit hair, too. Oh, boy.
1979, you take what you can get there, pal. Anyway, let me go back to the nipples here in the desert. So the music was playing, but I got the closing line. Tonight, a little piece of someone will be destroyed for their own good and for the greater good. And I thought, yeah, Jonathan Good. Because he's the only person that's enjoying any of this. And then they drive out of the desert. Now, Moxley's the only one that's been talking. And he's really been the only one on camera. And then he gets in the back of the pickup truck, and there is, I think Claudio's driving, and Wheeler Useless is sitting in the back, and I'm sure Marina Schaefer's, I believe, was there as a brief shot. And they drive off out of frame. How did they get all those people in the desert? And did they fly all these people somewhere just to take them out in the desert and sit in the fucking truck while he did the promo?
And they're about to drive off. Let's go sit in the back of the truck while we drive through dirt for a while.
Yes, in the desert. What is this supposed to... So somebody needs to send us. I got 17 copies of the Monster Squad. Somebody needs to send us that
Hey, we gotta watch one.
Australian indie movie that they were talking about that he's stolen this from, or is it from one movie?
No,
he stole the
past
dialogue
that.
from the one movie.
No, I think each segment he steals from a specific movie, and then he moves on to the next segment. It's a different movie. Like it was Rocky III way back, and then it was that neo-Nazi movie or whatever the hell. This was clearly Breaking Bad. I think every Moxley segment, I think what really is going on is Tony Khan is funding Moxley's reel so that he can go to different people in Hollywood and try to get some roles, because that's clearly what he wants. This is all acting, and it's nonsensical. We said it last time. None of this is going anywhere unless the whole idea is John Moxley with Marina Shafir, Pac, Wheeler, Yuta, and Claudio against the entirety of the AEW locker room. And then once you see them all together, you realize, man, this locker room kind of sucks. There's no main eventers here in this locker room.
Well, that's the problem, because they drove out of the desert and they cut to a shot of the back of the building in the parking lot where I wrote all the AEW jobbers are waiting in a staged fashion for Moxley's bunch to show up, and they've got sticks and lead pipes, and they're all in like a...
It's like a union shop. Like we're getting ready to bust someone up.
Yeah, it's a goddamn parking lot. Also, it's not like they're somebody's going to come over the fucking hill or around the blind bluff at any second. They're all ready for something they can see. There's nothing coming at them. They're just all standing in a line with their bats at the ready, like they could appear any moment.
Where are the cops?
Well, and that's the thing. Where are the main eventers? Look, here was the Danny Garcia, Mark Briscoe, Kyle O'Reilly, Private Party, Pockets, Rocky Romero, The Dork Order, Top Flight, Jay Lethal, Jeff Jarrett, and Zippy the Giant Pinhead.
Oh, the best moment was when they pulled the camera back a little to reveal it was all these guys, and then Karen Jarrett in the middle of it in a dress.
Yes. And again,
she's angry. She's ready to fight them.
I'll tell you what. And in that ball gown and in high heels, she's going to do some damage. Oh, goddamn. Do you remember when I worked with them in that show in Illinois? It was like 2016 or whatever. This may have been right before you. I don't know.
I don't remember.
But there was this, I can't even remember the name of the promotion, but it was in Illinois. And I think I was somewhere there and then somewhere the next night in that general direction. And Jeff, conversely, was there that night. It was coming back this way the next night on the way, whatever. And so I was a baby face, but Jeff and Karen were heels. And I was just appearing as like the special general manager. Jeff was going to be a heel that night, whatever. And goddamn, so I'm doing an interview, and the spot is going to be that when I'm doing an interview with Jeff, right? I'm trying to reconstruct this. It's been 10 years ago, but I'm doing an interview with Jeff, and when I blister him with some verbiage or whatever, he's going to take exception, and he's going to fucking grab me and hold me, and Karen's going to try to give me the big slap, but I'm going to duck, and she's going to slap Jeff, and I'm going to roll out and escape, right? Very simple. The problem was the ring was very bouncy, and Karen was wearing high heels. And when Jeff was holding me, here she comes with the slap, and I didn't want her to hit me. I had enough with Baby Doll, right? I duck the slap, and she slaps Jeff, but she's on high heels, and when Jeff sold it, the ring bounced up and down, and she fell over the top of me where I was bent over. Suddenly it looked like she had bent over and grabbed me to give me a pile driver. And when I was bent over, but I didn't expect to be pancaked from the top by anybody. So when she fucking fell on top of me like that, I goddamn went down. And now it fucking strained my goddamn milk, I'll tell you, being pancaked like that. And now we're both down. Well, then I'm trying to get out from under, but she rolls one way to get away from me, but I'm going to roll the other way. But we end up rolling the same way. And now her dress is up over my fucking head. And I've lost my glasses, and she gets off of me, and I'm crawling around on my hands and knees trying to find my glasses so I can see how to get out of there. And I turn around, and Jeff has turned around selling his mouth from the slap, but actually he's covered his goddamn face because he's laughing at us rolling around trying to fucking get up. So, yeah, I'd bet on her in that gang fight back there without even batting an eye. But anyway, so they were in Salt Lake City, Utah.
The funny thing is, every time they cut to them in the back, they're all like, come on.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Did they keep that up for 2 hours? Did they just
yes, they're standing there, come on. But then they can see far away in the parking lot, and nobody is on the horizon, right? And they're out there in daylight, and they're still out there, and it's dark.
Yeah, is that the only entrance, by the way? This is definitely where he's going to park. Let's wait here. Hey, where are you?
That's where the memo told all the boys to park, so I'm sure that's where they're coming.
Someone get a board. Someone get a stick. Like, what the hell was that?
Just because people are standing there waiting with boards and sticks doesn't mean that they might try to go in another door that might be unobstructed, or maybe go in through the front and buy a ticket.
Any AEW star currently not on the show, but going to come back anytime soon, is watching this going, oh my God, they're going to pull us all into this.
Well, I mean, I don't think any of those guys sitting at home want to be pulled into anything because they're getting paid to not be a part of this. It's like being paid to stay out of jail.
Well, that was the opening. Moxley in the desert with a cameraman. By the way, they left the cameraman. I don't know if he had his own vehicle. There are a lot of tire tracks out there. Why couldn't they find a spot without tire tracks everywhere? But there are a lot of tire tracks, and they left the cameraman.
The traffic in Death Valley is just like everywhere else. It's getting out of hand. But they were in Salt Lake City. What was this building?
This building was the Maverick Center, West Valley City, Utah.
Well, now, is West Valley City close to Salt Lake City?
I don't know. Let's look it up.
Because I heard them say Salt Lake City.
West Valley City is a city in Salt Lake City, or excuse me, in Salt Lake County, and a suburb of Salt Lake City in the state of Utah. So it's kind of like being in the Tacoma Dome right outside of Seattle.
Well, how many people does this building hold, and how many people did they have in it?
Well, I will have to find out the capacity in a moment, but tickets distributed as of yesterday, according to WrestleTix, 2,540.
And that's distributed, and again, I would love to see somebody stumble accidentally, which is the way these things happen, across an actual building settlement sheet.
Capacity 12,000.
Okay, so they were 20% this time. That ain't bad.
But like someone just emailed us. Hold on, I just saw this. Let me open it. Josh in New Mexico sent us to CornyDriveThru@gmail.com. For AEW show in San Jose, there was a smaller arena in the market. The arena, the Tech CU Arena, is just 3.5 miles from the SAP Center and is home of the San Jose Sharks' top minor league team. And guess what? They have a capacity of 4,200. That 3,000 in the SAP Center would have looked great in the smaller building. And that's a large part of the problem, too. It turns out a lot of these markets where we say, why don't they run a smaller building? There's almost always at least one smaller building available that they decided not to use.
Well, yeah. And that's the problem. There's not an epidemic. It's not, something in every city where there's a really nice 3,000 or 4,000 seat arena, but there's more than there used to be. There's one in Atlanta down there now. There's a blah, blah, blah. I think it's a little bit larger than that. But point is, that's not 18 or 20,000 seats. It's not as hard to find as it used to be because a lot of people can't use that many seats anymore. But nevertheless, the point I was making with the settlement sheet, I'd love to see an arena settlement sheet because that would tell you the number of tickets sold and for how much, and the number of tickets printed and distributed, but that were complimentary. That's the only place you're going to get a breakdown like that is from the actual arena settlement sheet, and that would mean that we would have to find out who's working for AEW doing the settlements with the arenas, and we'd have to follow them and hit them over the head with a blunt instrument and take away their briefcase.
See, that's what I'd like to know. We all talk about how low these crowd numbers are. How many of these audiences have had less than 1,000 paid tickets?
There's no way to tell because we don't know. Tickets distributed means tickets distributed by all sources, purchased, given away, sponsors, whatever.
In the late 90s, in the mid 90s, late 90s, when I would go to Met games before they got good again and the stadium was empty, I mean, empty, like maybe 10,000 people there. You could pick any seat you wanted, but they would every day announce 35,000 people. And when they got called out for it, they were saying that's how many tickets were sold. So they're saying that I guess people bought season tickets and the tickets were sold, but there was no one there. So it's kind of the opposite of this. They were announcing big crowds because they sold tickets, just no one came to the middle of the week games. But same thing, you want the true number. You want to know what it really is. And again, that number, the ticket sale number, the true number without comps, is the real story of where AEW is right now in terms of success or not having success.
And that's, you're not going to get that information unless they give it to you or you're actually working in the ticket office at the, and I know a lot of people haven't seen a settlement sheet from an arena, but it's same as wrestling and anything else, is that the arena will give you a printout. I still have my stuff from the Knoxville Coliseum from Smoky Mountain, but the arena will give you a printout that you have to sign off on as the representative of the promotion. Okay, we sold this many ringside tickets at X dollars, this many reserved at Y dollars, this many general admission at Z dollars. Here were the comps that you requested that we printed on the Ticketmaster account or whatever the case. Here, if there was a special promotion, kid with an adult in for 43 cents, then here's those number, and there's the total. Here's the state tax. Here's the rent and expenses. Here's our check for X dollars as your settlement. This is what we owe you. And you've got to okay that. If you don't okay it, then they got to start counting everything all goddamn over again. But that is what specifically would tell you what the gate and the sold and everything is on these programs. Nevertheless, so Tony Schiavone was in the ring and he introduced Hangnail Page, and Tony's incisive question to the cowboy, a drugstore cowboy or midnight cowboy, I'm not sure, was, where is your mind at? And Page snatches the microphone and Tony just throws his hands up and walks over to corner, like every host of every television show would. And Page starts doing the fake tough guy voice where he's growling now and he recites his lines that he's come up with about who he's beaten up. And when he gets to, I guess that's why one of the Austin Gunn is probably injured. And they're blaming Page for him not being there because remember we said the other day they were down one gun when we saw the gangbang gang clangers. Dancers.
They're not dancers.
Well, I don't know what the fucking name, the goddamn, I'm thinking of who were the June Taylor dancers, did Jackie Gleason.
The Jewel Havemeyer dancers did SCTV.
Yes. Nevertheless, as soon as Page mentioned Austin Gunn as one of the guys that he beat up, Colton came out and jumped him. And they went to the floor and had a big fight. And Colton missed a dive and Page beat him up. And during this, Page, the announcers called attention to it, which made me think it was part of the story. But at the same time, they couldn't hardly not because it was visually obvious that Page was limping, but he was favoring his left leg kind of at the start and then more later on. But who knows what's going on there. But then Page pulled off a belt and was going to whip Colton Gunn, but Jay White and Juice Robinson came out. And so now they have the deal where two baby faces outnumber the one heel and get on either side of the ring and get in and stop him. And Paige then limps off, and Jay White does the promo. Ye can't hide. And as usual, his promo was way too long. They had a little action and excitement going at the very little at the end of the chase there. And when Paige limped off, if he could have got this done in about 20 seconds, that would have been marvelous. But instead, yeah, boy. Is Paige hurt? Does anybody give a shit about Jay White? And why can't we let Juice do anything?
Nobody gives a shit about Jay White. Juice, when he was standing on the second rope, I was like, man, he's got size. He looks like a star. But they don't use him well. I like Adam Page kind of getting fired up, and this is the best version of him I think we've seen in maybe ever. And then...
But now that we know that it's phony because he was a morose alcoholic before for so long and he wore flowery pants.
And again, I don't think anyone wants to see him feud with Jay White, whose catchphrase is, I got 2 words for you. And then when you think he's going to say sucker, he says, guns up.
Well, besides that, they've been heels and obnoxious heels that were good at being heels until sudden. And now the Guns, just because Jay White was mad at Paige, they got involved in this. And all of a sudden, people... They turn without turning here. And speaking of turning without turning, they've turned on Sammy Guevara. Boy, howdy. They did a little video on him. How long has it been since we've seen him?
Well, funny enough, apparently he's been, I told you I saw him on a couple of the pre-shows, him and Dustin teaming up. I think they were the Ring of Honor Tag Champions. But whatever the last thing was, like 3 weeks ago or so, he got stretchered out. He got another concussion. That was some kind of scary incident. I want to say it was like the same night. Wasn't it like him and some girl wrestled Lady Frost and she also landed on her head? It was like there were 2 incidents in one night where 2 different wrestlers
good Lord.
both got stretchered out. He was one of them.
Well, I mean, he's been gone forever from Dynamite. And they did a little video on him with the highlights of him, into the voiceover where he said basically he wants to repay AEW for what the company has done for him by taking a bunch of stupid bumps.
I'm sick of that. I'm sick of everyone, you have to fight for AEW. I believe in AEW. I got to prove myself to AEW. What is all this? This is like every corporation's dream to have workers so dedicated to the company.
That's what I was going to say. A lower level guy at Exxon corporate headquarters, like, we're going to fight for this company.
Yeah, where does that come from? It's a unique thing to wrestling. No other business has, like, any workers this enthusiastic about proving themselves to the company. Jesus.
Slavishly. But meanwhile, Shelton, Benjamin, and MVP, however, say they're not here to make friends. They said everything but the exact quote, we're not here to make friends, we're here to make money. Everything but that exactly. And then they matched Sammy Guevara up with Shelton Benjamin. And it's perfect because let's face it, Sammy is over as an experiment. I'm not talking over as a draw with fans. I'm talking over as in time's up as an experiment. If they weren't going to bring him back with a major push after he's been gone this long, at least from our eyesight, and doing Ring of Honor or whatever the fuck, then apparently he's just pissed off enough people that they've given up. And I'm not saying that he should have beaten Shelton Benjamin here or been in any way competitive with him. No, farther from this was the best thing on the program. I'm just saying, Sammy ain't gonna make it. As Ernie Ladd said to Bill Watts one time about Junkyard Dog, said, Bill, your boy ain't gonna make it. So Sammy against Shelton, and whatever Sammy did to his hair, he looked like a 12-year-old girl auditioning for the part of Pippi Longstocking. But this was, again, a rare, perfect match for AEW television. Shelton was aggressive. In the first 10 seconds, he grabbed Sammy and tossed him 10 feet in the air. And Sammy understood what his job was here. He didn't, lay down and sandbag him on anything. But Shelton was aggressive. He was all over Sammy. And then he'd give Sammy the duck and dodge spots and into a dive. And they had the people several times where Sammy would get the hope spot, but then he'd get cut back off. And Shelton would give him one time a big belly to belly on the floor. Or another thing, he'd stop him in some fashion, but he was, again, as we've talked about, working to the level that the other guy's been presented or is being presented at, rather than trying to have the greatest match of all time. He's there to get over. He looks like a giant, Shelton does, in that environment. He is legitimately probably one of, if not the best, natural athletes on the roster. He looks intimidating. MVP looks professional. They've got name recognition. And I've got to think that they're agenting / producing their own matches because these are so unlike anything that's on the rest of the program. It's not anything like Tony's ever done with anybody. They're actually going out and having a match that you can't see through in terms of just complete silliness, and that the guy that's being pushed is being dominant. But then he didn't fucking embarrass Sammy Guevara, but he made him work for shit. And during the heat, he picked him apart, Shelton did. He was not being stressed to the limit. But then when Sammy started a comeback, he had to work for it to make Shelton take a bump. And then when Sammy is on top, MVP, stop playing with your food, which is great, right? And then finally, Sammy's coming off the top and Shelton hits a super kick and then a leaping potato kick straight from Boise, Idaho. And then a knee lift in the corner and a power slam 1, 2, 3. Perfect. They had a great match. They had the people because they're oohing and ahhing on Shelton shit. And then they'd get with Sammy when he was trying to fire a comeback. So they had the people. Shelton got over. Sammy didn't look like shit, but he didn't get over, but he wasn't supposed to. That's why you put guys that you have formerly used, but you're not particularly wanting to use right now in that position. That doesn't mean that they should have the same match that they did at 2 years ago when you were using them in the main events. That means you're using their name and their reputation to get this new guy over that's worth more to you now. Simple goddamn mathematics. And I refuse to believe anybody but Shelton and MVP are laying these out because they make too much sense. And next week, it's Shelton versus Swerve. And this will be the test because I expect that Shelton will be doing athletic things and Swerve will be doing more athletic things, but it will not degenerate into cartwheeling and Western swing dancing like we see with a lot of the guys that don't have a lot of experience. And also, I think it will make sense. And also, I can't see Shelton losing. He really should win. But if they're not going to put him over, it's too early to have this match. But at the very least, he needs to not lose. And if he's going to lose to Swerve, then they should have had this on pay-per-view in about 3 to 6 months. But otherwise, what do you think?
I think he's going to lose unless Bobby Lashley debuts and saves him or costs Swerve the match.
That's what I'm thinking. But honestly, if they were going to do this early, should have had MVP fuck Swerve on Shelton's behalf. Shelton gets the win. Swerve confronts him the following week, and then Lashley debuts and puts Swerve in the hurt lock while he's about to throttle Shelton in a promo. But that's just me.
I have really liked the way Shelton's been used so far. And I thought he's come across great. I think MVP has come across great. I think MVP has brought a lot to the show to make it feel more professional just by appearing every now and then in a segment with his fucking business card. Not everyone agrees with that assessment.
What?
Have you seen some of the people with a problem with Shelton getting used this way or Shelton getting a push?
What? Who would have a problem with the best segment on the program? How the fuck is there a problem with this? They're doing something right for once. What is the drawback here?
I've been sent this. One of the listeners sent this. I have a quote here. I'm trying to move this screen. Here's Dave Meltzer's comments.
Oh, boy.
You are looking at a guy who literally, in WWE, he has not done anything for years and years. He's 49 years old. He was the bottom of the bottom.
Oh.
He was on main event losing. You know what I mean? It's the TNA thing. You're making yourself look second rate. And then according to what I'm reading here, Brian Alvarez counters saying this is all true, but he's in a new company and likens it to Ethan Page going to NXT and winning the title quickly. Dave says it's completely different because WWE is, quote, already the superior brand, whereas with AEW, he says the idea is that, and here's another quote, they are the inferior brand, but this accentuates that even more than you think. What? When bottom of the barrel WWE guys come in and look strong and beat your guys. He likens it to TNA's booking in the past. He says he understands why they are doing it and admits that Bobby Lashley was used as a pretty top guy, but says he is also very old.
Oh,
and he doesn't
Lord.
want him beating AEW top guys.
Boy, he looks just every bit as old as Uncle Dave does, doesn't he?
Here's a quote. If I was in charge, I'm not bringing in any second-rate WWE guys. None. There's no point. You've got enough guys on your roster.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
If it's a guy in WWE who is a big, big star, sure. If it's Roman Reigns coming in, that's a different story. The last thing you want to do is enforce that you are the secondary brand and that they are the major league.
Oh, God. It's no secret they're the secondary brand. Anybody that watches either program can figure that out if you've got eyes. And it's not even close. Wrestling fans are going to want to watch the goddamn wrestling program that they want to watch, but they're at the same time, I don't think anybody's going to have any illusions at this point about who's number one. But the thing is with Dave, the TNA thing was they had great young talent. AJ Styles, Bobby Roode, Samoa Joe, Chris Daniels at the time when he was still young and fetching. They had great talent on the card, and they were taking guys from the WWF that were getting more money to come down and either be lazy or just complain or fucking take a paid vacation to the amusement park in Orlando. That was then. They weren't, they weren't trying to get the company over or themselves over. The younger guys, the underneath guys that were being kept down. That was that problem. If you refuse to bring better quality fucking talent that is willing to work hard and get over into your company here because of the way they've been used in the WWF a while back, then Tony's pretty fucked. Because more of the underneath WWE guys will want to come there than the top guys will. So he's going to have to get used to that, number one. And number two, when it's a guy like Shelton that is in almost every facet of the business better than 90% of the guys on Tony's current roster. He's bigger. He's in better shape. He's got more experience. His work is better. And they might have some guys that can out-promo him, but he's got a manager. So how the fuck when a guy is doing this kind of work, don't bring him in.
And you can't even use his age as an argument because he doesn't look 49 unless you're told he's 49 or unless you stop and think, yeah, I guess I've been seeing him on TV for a very long time.
Yeah, look at that guy and tell me, oh yeah, he's too old. Fuck you.
Younger than Jericho.
And, and the thing is, well, yes, as a matter of fact. And also the thing is, I remember, and this was 10 years or so ago, well, a little bit more, when I brought him to Ring of Honor, him and Charlie Haas, Charlie was making fun of him. He said, yeah, Shelton's getting old. He actually has to go to the gym now. Shelton Benjamin obviously he worked out, but in his 20s and 30s, he could eat cheeseburgers from McDonald's. He could now go to the gym, and he could out jump, out leap, out run, out wrestle, out anything, anybody. He's just a fucking freak. Nevertheless.
No, but I think that the point is, I think there's something to what Dave's saying. If it's just a mid-card guy from WWE that comes in, as just another person coming in. Shelton came in with MVP, and that little bit has added a lot.
Yeah.
And their presentation on AEW TV, they may have been presented better on AEW TV since they arrived, better than anyone else in the company. And that's including Moxley and his gang of bikers who don't ride bikes, who keep showing up and beating everyone up.
And truckers who look unnatural in a truck.
Do you think Tony is getting closer and closer, and this may be better than what it's been, to like a wacky races kind of situation? Like Moxley and his crew have their pickup truck. Jack Perry has his car. Remember FTR originally showed up, they were in a car. You could have everyone has
Trent's mother in the minivan.
Minivan. Now it's like Cannonball Run-ish. I think it'd be pretty good.
And they had Penelope Pit Stop.
And no one arrives at the show on time. We've established that. Why don't we show everyone driving to the arena racing each other for some kind of prize?
Well, wait a minute. We've got to the point now where they don't get to the arena until after the show is over. But hold on, we're getting ahead of ourselves.
You talking about the ticket buyers or the wrestlers?
Well, either one. So then Tony Schiavone was in the ring again, and he introduced our friend Don Fallis with his charge, Kyle Felcher.
Oh my God, this segment. I can't wait to hear what you think of this.
Yeah. And again, why do they even send Tony to the ring? Tony gets in the ring, he introduces these guys, they come, they jerk the microphone away from him, and he just fucks off. And
this is why Mean Gene had to be mean.
Well, I mean, had you ever seen anything like that happen where an announcer would just hand the microphone off and just walk off until 10 years ago, maybe not even that. But so then Don says Kyle has something very important to say and gives the microphone to Kyle Felcher. And the subject is Will Ospreay and why. Why, Kyle, why? Why did he do what he did to his friend, to his buddy? I have said, and I agree, that Kyle has something. He's got size. He's very young, and his face looks even younger. He's been trying to come up with an image, whether it's the jackets or he dresses hip like the young kids. He got the hair fluffed out somewhat. He's trying to get an attitude. You can see him trying. They're trying to do something with him, right? And there's something to work with there. He's a good athlete.
And the hair, I thought the hair was great for a heel like that.
Well, but no, actually, for a fucking obnoxious, high school teenager in one of the 80s fucking teen comedies, it was great hairdo. But here's what I believe they're trying to do. They're trying to take Kyle from zero to hero too quickly. He comes in, what was it? Was it last year sometime? Last fall is the first time we see him, right? He's obviously, he's never been on television before. He's wrestled in Japan. He doesn't know how the fuck to get, like Ospreay. Ospreay's been around a lot longer than Kyle, and he still don't know how to get over in America, except with this audience, not with the actual audience. But this guy's not done television. He's not been cutting promos. He didn't even have he looked like a giant Q-tip when he first showed up, and now they're rushing this. They're trying to dress him up, and they're trying to do this and that. And now they've given him a nearly 10-minute live promo on national TV. The point is, this is the kind of guy that should have worked the territories. This is the kind of guy that would have benefited by developmental, whether it was NXT, Florida Championship Wrestling, OVW, or what. Because he's just not ready to talk on TV for 10 minutes. And Britt Baker's voice is deeper than his is. And he's still to the point where he's rehearsed this and memorized all this. And as it went on and the people started hooting him and chanting, "Shut the fuck up," he started getting louder and more vehement about it, trying to, remember when I say about some guys, they're trying to convince themselves as well as us? He was working really hard with this. He put a lot into it. But it was like a kid on the indies doing a promo for smart fans. It could have been done in a quarter of the time. There was tremendous detail about New Japan Wrestling and what Ospreay did there, which nobody saw and nobody cares about. Talk in basics to the audience that you've got now on national cable in America instead of people who followed indie shit 4 or 5 years ago. That and because all this detail, people, did you detect people at first? Okay, they'll listen. Then they started zoning out, and then they were like, "Shut the fuck up, this is going on too long."
Because the problem is, he turned on his longtime friend, and now after the fact, they have to establish how they were longtime friends.
Well, yes, that's the thing. He knew what he had to do to get out of Will's shadow. But he can't get out of this promo. that was the thing, is that he said that everybody started calling me, the next Will Ospreay. What, for 3 fucking weeks?
Yeah, who said that? I haven't heard that once.
But it hasn't even been that. They're referring to a long friendship that they've had someplace else that nobody saw, blah, blah, blah. And so then Kyle challenges Ospreay to ignore the doctor's orders and face him next week. And I swear to God, this is what he said: "I'll give you Tiger Driver after Tiger Driver until your brittle neck withers away to dust." Who the fuck talks like this? He's trying to, like Orson Welles wrote.
I went to Cody's class last night.
But that's what it's like. It's a play that's been written and he's performing it. "I'll give you Tiger Driver after Tiger Driver until your brittle neck withers away to dust." And then he takes a small bow and the audience applauds. And he's the proto-star. So they've mixed up superstar Billy Graham and prototype John Cena. And then he said, "If I want to stand atop," I can't do it. "If I want to stand atop," "I can be nothing like you." And then Don pulls out some fucking barber clippers out of his jacket pocket, but he's like a magician's assistant. "I hold in my hand an ordinary set of barber clippers." And he hands them to Kyle, and Kyle Felcher starts shaving his head. Actually, he wasn't shaving it. He had the guard on to where it's like number 2, where it's like a buzz cut, like in the Marines or whatever, right? But he starts shaving his head while he is screaming and drooling over and over again, like 4 or 5 times, "I am nothing like you," while he's making like a old-time chic face in the camera. And I'm thinking, yeah, Britney Spears did it better, because she really was fucking nuts. She was off her goddamn tit. But this is just...
Still is, by the way.
Well, and it's not my week to watch her, so I haven't kept up with her lately, but this was, it was an indie style promo that indie guys do because they don't have experience on television. And they've thrown this from completely being an unknown person and having no experience at talking on TV or working in America. They're trying to make him a main event guy in 6 months, and it's not going to work this quick. I don't know. What do you think?
It's a bunch of things that would have worked better spaced out over more time. They didn't do enough to establish him and Will Ospreay as lifelong buddies from the pandemic. When he started yelling how he doesn't want to be anything like Ospreay, first of all, I haven't heard anyone in AEW say he's the next Will Ospreay. And then if you were going to change yourself, your first move is to shave your head? I'll show everyone I'm nothing like you. I'll shave my hair that's a lot lighter than your hair. His hair doesn't look anything like Will Ospreay's hair.
I can't imagine what he's going to look like bald next week, but maybe he ought to leave it like he did, because he didn't cut the whole thing. He just cut a bunch of it, and he was left looking like he'd just gone through chemotherapy. So maybe if he just leaves that and he just looks disheveled and
see, I liked
psychotic.
His hair. I liked his hair because even though he didn't do it, it gave you the potential to do the Ray Stevens thing where he combs it back. And then as soon as he starts taking a bump, he could just, all of a sudden, Shemp Howard, the hair's all over the place.
There you go.
He didn't do that.
They can't do that no more.
Well, that was
hair today, gone tomorrow.
I guess they're not going to do a hair match because he gave away his hair for free.
I don't think anybody would have tuned in or paid anyway. It is, what's he going to look like bald? We don't care. That's another thing. They've devalued the hair match because so many of these fucking guys shave their heads on purpose anyway now.
This promo could have been 95% shorter and it would have been more effective.
Yes.
If he had just said, Will, I don't like you because you're a selfish prick and you think you're great and I'm better than you and I'm going to get anything other than, I will now stand here for 10 minutes and tell you my life story. How did anyone think this is a good idea?
Britney Spears did it better.
Well,
that's all I'm saying.
They say that Britney Spears, when things got really bad, she didn't know who to call. And Kyle is an active young wrestler, not insane. If he needed to call somebody, we know someone who could help him call somebody.
Well, they took her phone away, from what I understand, which is probably something you ought to do in those situations. But right now, Kyle's just going to be out of work pretty soon, because now that they've cut his hair off, he's just going to look like some bumpkin from Bean Station. So he's going to need to save money on his phone plan. Don't you think?
Absolutely. 100%. For sure.
Well, for sure there. Well, in that case, Mint Mobile can help him out. Mint Mobile can help you out. Mint Mobile can help anybody out that wants to save money on their phone plan. I can't stress this enough because it is impossible for anybody to give you a phone plan for less money than Mint Mobile is going to do it. What? As a matter of fact, for one thing, if it was any cheaper, Mint Mobile would be paying you to have it. And for another thing, if they want to charge you less than $15 a month for a phone plan, anybody, I don't care who it is, they're yanking your crank. They're winding you up. They are swerving you around. They are lying to you because it's just not feasibly possible. Now think about all those people that got to climb up those telephone poles, Brian, and string that wire along. Well, how do they even going to pay them if it's less than $15 a month? Because those people make sometimes $8, $10 a day climbing those poles. Just think about that.
Why?
Because it can't possibly get any cheaper. Now, let's say somebody came along and wanted to give you an $8 a month phone plan. Well, how are they going to pay Sarah, the operator, to where when you open your phone up and you hit 0 and you say, Sarah, get me Sam Drunker's General Store? Well, if you can't pay Sarah, she's not going to be able to complete that call. You see what I'm saying, Brian?
No, I don't think anyone sees what you're saying, and they certainly don't hear what you're saying. And if you wanted to hear what other people are saying, we know someone who can help you out. Isn't that right, Jim?
Well, that's right. Turn up your volume if you can't hear what I'm saying. Mint Mobile is going to give you a cell phone plan for just $15 a month on a 3-month plan. It's premium wireless is what it is. That's even better than just regular wire. The premium wireless They've got even less wires. And Mint Mobile comes with high-speed data, unlimited talk and text, the nation's largest 5G network, and you can use your own phone and bring your own phone number along. As a matter of fact, bring other people's numbers. If you've got somebody that you'd like to get their phone calls for just a week or so, just to see what they're up to, give Mint Mobile their number. They'll forward you their calls for the next week.
That's absolutely wrong. We have established already that's not how it works. You get to use your own number, not other people's numbers. Leave other people alone with Mint Mobile.
Oh, so in other words, for $15 a month, you can't get the other people's number, just your own number.
Just your own, certainly not.
You have to pay more than $15 a month to Mint Mobile to get other people's phone numbers delivered to your phone.
You will not be getting anyone else's phone numbers, just your own.
That's right, not unless you pay more than $15 a month, but who wants to do that?
Only $15 a month from Mint Mobile.
That's right, $15 a month for mintmobile.com/JCE. That's how you get the $15 a month deal. For the 3-month plan, which is a total of $45, you go to mintmobile.com/JCE and you give them $45 and your phone's going to work for 3 months. How about them apples?
Are you saying it to me? I like those apples.
Yes, well.
Those are nice apples.
Then start bobbing then, pal. Of course, the $45 upfront payment is required. That's equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on the first 3-month plan only. Speed slower. Above 40 GB on the unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for the details. $15 a month. Again, 3 months, $45. mintmobile.com/JCE. How about them apples?
Mint Mobile.
Yes, I've just been talking about them.
All right, well, we'll have to call everyone later on. We still have more AEW Dynamite to review. Apparently a lot more to review. Apparently there's a whole lot more, but let's get to it.
Well, the hits just keep on coming. I won't bore you with Brian Cage and Lance Archer versus 2 guys with painted faces and barbarian gimmicks. I won't bore you with it, but they did. They did that. And then they went out to the parking lot. And all the jobbers are still standing there, as we've talked about before. They're ready or waiting. If anybody comes up from Moxley's bunch, they've got them. They've got the sticks and the pipes and the... And then suddenly, here again, it's like 10 or 12 guys, but they're in a 15-foot space. So if they tried to come into this giant sports arena from any other location or angle, they'd go right by them. But also, these are guys that are actively supposed to be wrestling on the show. So, fucking Muffin Top Taylor, who is now apparently a producer, you know what they say, those who can't do also can't teach. He comes up with a headset and a lanyard around his neck and say, "Hey, Briscoe, your match is next." So he's calling him off the picket line to go in and wrestle. And then
Hold on, let's stop right there.
Okay, go ahead.
How funny is that? In kayfabe, the company producer comes out to get one of the angry, like you said, picketers. Okay, time to come in. You can come back after your match. What? Why doesn't a producer just call the police?
I was about to say, this is not a thing that AEW has authorized, that these guys should be out there. They're just doing it on their own, in which case they're vigilantes armed with goddamn clubs, and shouldn't somebody in the neighborhood be concerned? Right? What the fuck is going on with this shit? It's indie. It's outlaw mud show.
Should there have been one person with like a pitchfork? should there have been someone with a torch? Like, what were they missing? What were they missing?
Somebody should have had a pitchfork, because they're spreading enough manure. And that's when now Muffin Top turns to Pockets and has a heart-to-heart talk with him and says, "Hey, you and I, we used to live together because we couldn't afford to live on our own. Why are they all so proud of having been complete failures in their lives until their mid to late 30s when they ran into a billionaire Richie Rich?" So I'm sorry, before I'd have lived with either one of these guys, I'd have turned to crime. I'm just admitting that right out. There's got to be a better way. But Taylor mushmouths a fucking story that it was about damn time that Pocket steps up. Like this, of all the guys out there, there's a 7-foot fucking giant out there. There's goddamn Mark Briscoe who could do some damage in a situation if he needed to. There's some men out there, but he's telling the least intimidating guy who has no emotion whatsoever and has the physique of a goddamn Valvoline employee that works out on the weekend. You need to step up. What the fuck is happening here? They are featuring all the friends again. Literally, not the guys that were the gimmick of best friends, but all the friends of the fucking Cucamonga Kids, the entire Lollipop Guild, because they've lost all their main eventers to injury, attrition, and lack of interest on the main eventers' part to come to work. And now they've got to, and you look at Taylor, they put this boring bowl of pudding on national television as a wrestler. Don't forget that. Because he was friends with the other indie fucks that they all hung around with. So if there's a question about why the WWE has left these fuckers in a cloud of fart smell, it's because what the fuck? You've got this fucking bland, tubby cretin standing there talking to this idiot dipshit indie guy on TBS. Where do they think the viewers are going, and why do they think they're going there?
And this is only going to eat up the rest of the show. I think everyone's going to get pulled into this. I think Omega's going to get pulled into this. I think MJF will get pulled into this. I think everyone's going to get pulled into the AEW Infinity War of Moxley and the other Road Warriors.
And there was
taking
Fat
on the
Uno
entire locker room.
Fat Uno was out there in that fucking mask in the parking lot. Like, what did he think when the guys came to beat him up that they would laugh so hard they wouldn't? Could we move on?
Please.
We'll come back to it. Anyway, the next match was the ladder match for the Ring of Honor title. And as you will recall, there was one thing on the pay-per-view that I said they did correctly. They had a one-on-one match between Chris Jericho and Mark Briscoe for the Ring of Honor title based on Jericho disrespecting Jay Briscoe. And Mark Briscoe beat Chris Jericho 1-2-3 with the Jay Driller, his brother's move. And that was perfect because Mark Briscoe needed a big win. And that should be Chris Jericho's position at this point, is using whatever celebrity he has left to try to help somebody, even though it may be inadvertent, instead of trying to help. So then they reversed everything here on television, which has a wider audience. And they have a gimmick match with a 53-year-old flabby supporter of insurrections beating up Mark Briscoe in a ladder match and winning the Ring of Honor title.
Whose side do you think Chris Jericho will be on in this AEW insurrection? Moxley or Team AEW?
Well, I think he'll probably pull himself out of it and announce to Tony Khan that he's just going to take on the winner for supreme control of the company. So, I mean, in the first 30 seconds, Jericho taking a bump off the apron through 2 tables. They were on the floor forever. They had the ladders, the tables. Mark taking crazy bumps. Mark gets juice. Mark had climbed the ladder and could have gotten the belt, but he wanted to elbow drop Jericho through a table. So Brian Keith came in and climbed the ladder with Mark, and Aubrey Ed was standing there staring, doing nothing. And she's good at that, doing absolutely fucking nothing. But again, the wrong kind of heat, disgusting heat. Romero comes in and wears out Brian Keith with the kendo stick. And then Mark Briscoe comes off the ladder with the elbow on Jericho through the table, which one would think would discapacitate him long enough to get beat, right? But instead, as Mark is climbing the ladder again, here comes Big Bill and stops him. And Aubrey stares. And again, it's a hat on a hat. It's the wrong kind of heat. It's disgusting heat. It's heat on the promotion, whatever. It's ridiculous. Just even if a ladder match is no disqualification, that people can run in intermittently and just take over wrestling the match for a guy, and the referee stands there and doesn't even try to do anything about it. That's where the fans roll their eyes and go, what the fuck? This is all bullshit. We can't take any of it seriously. Did Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon have people running in during their ladder match, or would that have been a hat on a hat?
Yeah, Diesel actually got kicked out of ringside early in the match.
And if indeed you can just have your friends come in and help you, then why does the match go 20 minutes until the guy's had the shit kicked out of him, and then he has the idea that his friends could come down? You can't. It's why everything's meaningless. So then Big Bill chokeslammed Mark over the top rope through a couple of tables and picked Jericho up and carried him up to get the ladder to get the belt. And Horseface stood down there and pointed up, yes, he's the winner. Rotten finish and the wrong kind of heat undid everything good about their match at the pay-per-view. And then to further make us dread what is going on in the future, Mark just disappeared. Maybe he was dead down there. They didn't want to show it on camera because he had bones sticking out of his neck or something. But they can shoot the stage where Ishii comes out and stares menacingly at Jericho. So are we going to have to watch that horse shit again? Where they stand there and just fucking slap each other like a couple of old hooers?
Where they work really, really poorly with each other, but we're told that we don't get how wonderful their selling is. Yeah, we're going to get that again. When the match ended, and I wasn't surprised by the finish, I told you this is what was going to happen a week ago. It was obvious. When the music hit, I didn't recognize whose music it was. I was like, oh my God, who's going to do a run-in on Jericho? Didn't seem like all the fans recognized it either. When Ishii walked out, I was crying with laughter. This was the decision that they made? Ishii now? With everything going down, let's bring in more Ishii? Feud him with Jericho? What's the combined age there?
Well, I think we figured out Ishii before, didn't we? That he's 50. So it's 106, I bet.
That'd be the smart move for Jericho, though. If Tony can get Ring of Honor sold and Jericho can go there and be the top star, gets him away from all this. In his eyes, it saves him from all this. Lets him make himself a top star. And for everyone there, it saves all of them from Jericho.
They couldn't sell Ring of Honor right now if it was pussy and they were on a troop train.
Do they still have troop trains?
Do they still have pussy?
They still have pussy.
Well, then I bet you they still have troop trains.
I don't know if there's too much pussy on sale on trains anymore. That's the question, I guess.
Well, planes, trains, or automobiles.
When was the last time you heard a story
They've got
of
it, we'll buy it.
When do you hear about someone, oh, they caught this man trying to solicit on the train? Like, you never hear that.
There was this crap game on the train.
You'll hear that before you hear that, there's a problem with prostitution on the rails.
Well, the rails, is that where this show just recently went?
Well, let's come back from the rails to whatever we're talking about.
Well, we might be back to a few rails here because who's doing this Adam Cole writing? They may be doing some rails. Adam Cole comes to the ring for a promo where he's cut off just instantly by Roderick Strong and Matt Taven and Mike Bennett, all talents of whom I have thought in the past were just swell and have been bungled and mismanaged and beaten into powder and booked into nonsensibility here in this company.
And Roddy was doing the screaming thing. Where
Yes,
he
the
screams out.
Adam.
Yeah.
Adam, like we needed to be reminded of that. And then they come out and tell Adam Cole that's right, MJF used you. He used you to get the fans to care about him for once. He didn't check on Adam Cole, while he was hurt. We did. We've always been your friends. And that's why we said yes to this plan instantly a year ago. It wasn't about Max. It was about us being back together. So wait a minute. Now the story is, instead of Adam Cole being the devil and these three annoying fucking heels that have not done one goddamn redeeming thing since they have been in this company, they got together out of pure honor and the being the salt of the earth, and they're just good-hearted people, to connive and plot and plan of how to get even with MJF for being such a prick when MJF was acting like a nice guy for the first time in his life. And that's why that they had to call their leader the devil when Adam was finally revealed to being behind the whole plot against MJF. It was, God damn it. They said it was about us being back together, and Roddy said, I'm so proud of you for coming back from this severe ankle injury. And the crowd is being deathly silent.
They're totally quiet. Yeah.
They're like, what is... And now they want to finish taking MJF out together. So it's going to be 4 baby faces against 1 heel. And Roddy says... And I know you want him, Adam, but I want MJF first. And the crowd, there was light booing. There was like, oh, no. Oh.
Don't prolong this. That's what the crowd was saying.
Yes, it was disenchantment booing. It was, oh, no.
Oh, no, they're going to give us that.
And then Adam Cole, to be the leader of honor amongst this group of sterling white knights in shining armor, Adam Cole says, yeah, let's finish it right here tonight. Max, come down here so the 4 of us can take turns whipping your ass. Oh, goddamn. How can you turn that fucking offer down? Yeah, that come on down here by yourself, you no good pricks. All 4 of us can just beat the shit out of you.
And they all squared up like they really thought it may happen.
Yes. And then MJF appears on the screen, and he's getting a massage from a girl named, I can't remember what her name was. Mulva.
Tatiana.
Mulva. It was her name. No, Tatiana. I thought it was Tudiana. Didn't we establish it was pronounced Tudiana?
When did we establish this?
Well, that's his girlfriend, Alicia Tudiana, right?
I didn't realize what you were referencing. I had no idea what you were saying.
Yeah, that's the way he said it, because we weren't sure. It's not Alicia Tatiana, it's Alicia Tudiana.
Let me just stop you right here.
Tudiana, deep. Sounds like the boogie woogie bugle boy of Company B.
This is 2 weeks in a row where Adam Cole has called that MJF and a video played.
Yes. And he's on the massage table, and his sweet bits are covered up, but Tudiana has access to him. And he just cuts another promo that you can tell it's not live. He's not anywhere in that building. He's cut these things probably all in the same day so that he can have some peace and quiet. But it doesn't react to anything that's been said by these people in the ring so far. But at the same time, it does. Not anything in specific, so he doesn't know what they fucking said, or this story didn't make any sense, but he offers them that whichever one of them wins 3 matches in a row first, he will wrestle that person at Full Gear. What? What? And now, Full Gear is in 4 weeks, right? November 23rd. That's the next pay-per-view they're doing.
Correct.
So all 4 of these guys have to have 3 matches, or at least enough of them have to have 3 matches to where one of them's going to win 3 matches. And then we'll figure out which one that is so that we can advertise that pay-per-view match against the only goddamn star they've got left in the company, MJF. And 3 of these 4 people, nobody wants to see wrestle MJF. And one of these people, I don't know if I want to see wrestle MJF because, god damn. And then MJF says he won't show up until Full Gear, so he can't be attacked. But he hopes that they all get the happy ending that they're looking for because he knows he will. And there was no reaction to any of this.
From Tatiana.
Well, from Tatiana had a little reaction. I think MJF, it might have moved too.
That was his little reaction.
That was his little reaction. But then Adam Cole in the ring gives a big group hug to his new ex-heel friends that didn't do a goddamn thing to switch babyface from being heels, except be in the group of the devil when they botched the angle and had to turn the guy that the devil fucked around heel and blah, blah, blah. You see where I'm going with that. What the fuck is this mess?
Hey, where's Wardlow?
Hey, Wardlow's got the secret. Wardlow's the only one that's beaten MJF convincingly with no retribution or fear of rebuttal. Why aren't they picking his brain?
That's how MJF should get out of working with them. The 3rd week, the 3rd guy they each have to wrestle is Wardlow. Surprise!
And he power bombs all 4 of them at the same time.
He could do it, probably. Especially with Roddy and Cole. They're not very big. I said it before. Adam Cole burned out a lot of good graces that he had with a lot of people once he got to AEW. The first thing he did in AEW was work with Orange Cassidy.
Yeah.
And they didn't recognize in advance that was the wrong thing to do. And they still went with it. And there's been a lot of bad shit. I know for a while they tried to give Adam Cole and Adam Page credit for drawing the pay-per-view. What was it? Was it like CM Punk and MJF were at a it was some big pay-per-view and people were trying to say Adam Cole and Adam Page were what drew the house. But if you look at the reactions...
Yeah, but wait a minute, Steve Lombardi was in the first match.
If you look at the reactions that Adam Cole gets now from the fans, it's very different than it was just a year ago, let alone 2 years ago.
They like to boom on the music.
There's a lot of people in wrestling that the most over thing about them is their entrance. And unfortunately, Adam Cole is there at that point. And I think it's ridiculous him, again, you look at him and then you see MJF. MJF's he's not like 6 feet tall or anything, but he looks like a guy who's in the gym all the time. Adam Cole doesn't. So how are you supposed to buy that? Let alone who Adam Cole's going to be wrestling next week, which is even more of an egregious, what the fuck? How's anyone going to buy him beating him?
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. We haven't got to the House of Black yet, but basically, well, it's not spoil anything, but the House of Black beat up 3 scared job guys, and then Buddy Matthews got the microphone and said, next week, Buddy Matthews versus Adam Cole. And I wrote, oh, Jesus.
He's twice the size, if not 3 times the size of Adam Cole.
Yes, and the only redeeming factor of the House of Black, they couldn't have made it the fat tattooed guy or Black himself. They got to do it to poor Buddy. Poor Buddy. And then Adam Cole went up to him and nose to nose, and it looked like a goddamn gnat nosing up to an elephant. I say, hey, what's your deal, man? What's your deal? And Buddy says, I'm doing it to prove you're fragile. And I'm afraid that they might.
I'm afraid nature beat you to it.
Oh, brumch.
Thank you.
Wait a minute. Hold on here. I've got it.
Thank you. Nothing will ever top me opening the show by saying I wish I was, instead of being here, I'd rather be roommates with Boo Ray. I think that still is the all-time winner. But Raw rolls on. Dynamite blows up.
Raw rolls on and Dynamite blows up. And wait a minute. So now Rock crushes Scissors, but Paper covers Rock and Dynamite blows up.
Rock crushes Scissors, but Triple H covers Rock.
But actually, no. Endeavor or TKO itself covers Rock. Triple H couldn't just write a check for $30 million.
That's true. If he could, I'd be friends with him.
Back to Dynamite. Well, I don't know if I'm friends with whoever's put Camille in a gladiator outfit. Did you? The next match, what I've been waiting to see Camille work, and I have issues with the way that they did that we'll talk about in a minute. But first, is that she's been kind of, again, like the AEW version of Raquel Gonzalez Rodriguez. She's tall and striking and has a severe look and physically imposing. But then she comes out and was that a gladiator outfit or what was going on with that there? Is that some type of video game homage like the kids do? Did you see this at all? The outfit?
Oh, this match was astounding. I watched this whole thing, but I never really saw too much of her before here, like in the NWA or anywhere. What did she wear?
Well, she didn't wear that. I mean, she was wearing tights the last time I saw her, but I'm not saying that it had, oh no, we want her to dress like Moolah in 1973, but I'm just wondering if that isn't, is this a hat on a hat? She was very, Mercedes has already got all the bells and whistles and fringes and wigs and carrying on and such.
I like my female wrestlers dressed like Farouk Assad.
Well, you know what? There you go. The old, poor, God bless him, poor Ron Simmons put up with that, and it was able to overcome it later on. But, you know, Vince wanted a black Muslim dressed like fucking Steve Reeves in a Hercules movie or whatever.
Again, a Nerf outfit, it looked like.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know what
the baddest guy on the roster dressed like that.
But anyway, back to Camille, the baddest woman on the roster. That ought to be what they're going for. So again, it was a little over the top, I thought, for whatever. But nevertheless, she's wrestling Queen Wyatts.
Amanada.
Well, you do, and you'll clean it up.
No, that's her name, Amanada. Queen Amanada. Her Highness Amanada.
Well, her Royal Highness, I was one to evaluate Camille, but the Queen's tights weren't the only things that were green. I'm not sure which was more fluorescent, her tights or her wrestling ability. You couldn't evaluate Camille from this match because the other girl is too tall, too awkward, and too green. And therein lies a problem with booking. It's not the young lady's fault that she's, been in the wrestling business 15 minutes or whatever, but why, if you're trying to get Camille over as this towering, what do you want to say, bodyguard or hench person or whatever
Diesel.
the fuck
she's
she
the
is.
Diesel. She should be the Diesel for
there
the
you go.
Division. Yeah.
Then why'd you book her against probably the only girl they've got that's like 2 inches taller than she is?
Yeah, that's the thing that made no sense. She should have been in there with like a Layla Hirsch, someone that's like 4'10". It would have really accentuated how big she is.
Yes, and also when she tried to, the queen tried to do the deal where Camille picks her up for the sidewalk slam or catches her in that position, but she does the head scissors or whatever. But she's so fucking tall, my God. The gravity, the momentum, they fell in a heap. At one point, Camille, the queen, did something to her, and she couldn't figure out what it was that she had done in order to sell it. So she just kind of grabbed her mouth and stood and staggered slightly. And again, they're building Camille versus Chris Statlander, who's the only other young lady on the roster that matches up size-wise and power-wise and etc. So I can see, okay, we want to point this way, but why put the same thing with a greenhorn on television and have it shit to bed? So anyway, she got way too much on Camille. And I wrote, why are we building this versus Statlander when Camille can't handle this girl? And because they just decided they wanted to push the queen 3 weeks ago or whatever, then don't book this match. God damn. Camille got a torture rack and then went into some kind of slam and got a 2 count.
The commentary was great on that part because it was like, oh, was she going to? She did it. She's got her in there. They didn't say torture. They said something, and then she just dropped her.
Yeah.
The commentary were having problems all night, but with this match, there was only so much you could say to cover for whatever they were doing.
Oh, hey, let me tell you something. Braille wouldn't have covered for what they were doing here. And then Camille did kind of a crossroads and got a 1, 2, 3, but it was flat. There was no reaction. Because Camille's special aura is being diminished after like 6 weeks. And then Statlander came to the ring and they had a face-off. And Mercedes hit Statlander from behind and she no-sells it. But then Statlander and Camille had kind of a sloppy fight and Camille hit the crossroads again. It just Statlander we like, Camille we're trying to like. Mercedes is abysmal and gut-wrenching to suffer the presence of, but she's in the middle of this. But they need some booking and some producers that will be either listened to or fired. If the producer said, do everything exactly this way, fire them. If nobody listened to them, find some they'll listen to. Your thoughts, Brian, on the situation?
Yeah, I mean, their timing wasn't the best at different times. And speaking of bad timing, it appears that the gang has decided today's the day they're going to clean up the first round of leaves that have fallen off the trees. So you may hear the spaceship behind me. That's what's going on there.
Oh, the leaves are gone, and Brian is so upset.
That's the frustrating thing. They're not gone. They're going to clean out what's on the ground now, but only half of the shit has fallen out of the trees when we had a big wind the other day. So now everything else is going to fall down like tomorrow and then be here for another month.
We'll have them come back next week.
Not next week. It's too for this. You hear this?
Yeah.
You hear this?
You hear this? You hear this? You hear me what I'm telling you, son?
This is the audio equivalent of Camille versus Queen Aminata. No, I actually enjoyed it because I was fascinated by what was happening there. Like you said, Queen Aminata, again, a very attractive woman.
Oh, good Lord.
She's tall, and she also doesn't have a world of experience, and I don't even know how you can get that at this point in time. In this day and age in wrestling, let alone in AEW, where are you going to get that? But she needs to work with the right person, and it was awkward with her and Camille. And again, if you're going to shine Camille, why is she working with someone bigger than she is?
Hey, yeah.
Why is she working with someone bigger than she is? And, yeah, is anyone excited for her against Statlander? We both like them. You said, I've never really seen Camille, so I can't say much. I like Statlander. Is anyone excited for that right now?
Well, no, of course not. Because, and again, it's been poorly imagined from the start because it's in the middle of all this other shit. You can't keep track of which week that they're trying to make the new Green Girl the next big star of the Green Girl division. Anyways, you know what happened here now, Brian? I'll tell you, this is a hard television program to watch. You would agree, right?
Well, NXT is hard to watch. AEW, it's hard to enjoy, but there are times where it's very easy to watch because you don't know what's going to happen next, but you may not like what it's going to be.
Well, no, I think it's a hard program to watch because you have to work for it, because we've already established that if you're not doing your job as a dedicated viewer, if you don't record the program after this program so that you'll see the end of this program, you got to do that much work. But then I've got both of the DVRs that I'm in control of in this home set for AEW Dynamite, just to make sure the one doesn't have a problem. And I try to remember to set both of the DVRs for the Overrun also now, because it's become so comedic recently. But in this case, I forgot to set one of the DVRs for the Overrun. And 20 minutes before this parade of terror was over with, the horribleness and awfulness of it, which will never be forgotten, I'm in the TV room and all of a sudden the picture it digitizes on the DVR, and there's no sound, and it's jumping from like partial frames to partial, and it's completely screwed up. And you can neither watch it, nor hear it, nor goddamn fast forward it, because it's just all garbage, right? And I think, well, fuck, let me run up in the bedroom and say, and that one for the rest of the regulation show was just fine. But that's the one I'd forgotten to record the Overrun on. So I had to go through my normal channels to get somebody to send me the last 9 minutes of this fiasco. And I had to watch this one television program in 3 different locations. It's hard to watch, Brian. Are you still there?
I'm here. Quite literally hard to watch. Easy to hear what you're saying.
Apparently,
are you still there? Oh, there you go.
Yes, apparently you just weren't too interested in the trials and travails and tribulations that I had trying to do my job here as a broadcaster.
And I'm trying to do my job. I care about the listeners. I'm trying to stay on mute while these fucking guys do whatever the fuck they're doing forever out there.
Okay,
forever with these leaves.
I'll just be doing a filibuster over here for the next hour and 45 minutes or however long it takes them to fucking manicure your grounds, and then you'll pipe in with "see you next week," Boyd Pierce.
That's what Punk calls it when he punches one of the guys like Jack Perry. He filibusters. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be here all week. Me and the gang out here cleaning the leaves.
You know what? If he started doing the Superman punch and calling it the filibuster.
The filibuster.
Anyway, so what happened from this point on in this program? I'm sorry, I'm slapping and rubbing my face trying to stay awake just thinking about it. Is out in the parking lot, Christian Cage and the assorted people involved with him, except for the lizard, pulled up and started chasing Pip Sabian. Because they're upset. We're not sure exactly why they're upset, and nobody really cares to tell us, and we don't really care to find out, but they chased Pip all the way into the building and into the ring. And then, as we still don't know what the fuck is going on here, on the screen, Hook is walking. And he comes out and walks the ring. Apparently, Hook's been chasing out of was he chasing Pip or was he chasing Christian and Christian was chasing Pip? What's going on here?
Well, Hook was technically just chasing whoever hurt his dad, and he interacted with Christian, remember, a couple weeks ago, and kind of took him off the list, but he wouldn't snitch that Kip was there. But in this segment, they intimated that he was actually convinced that it was Christian who did the attack.
Oh, God damn it.
They should have had Hook be the attacker, make him interesting.
Boy, how the mighty have fallen there. Now he's just a weirdo wandering around doing stupid shit. But anyway, he hit the ring and he suplexed Nick Plain and he grabbed Christian. And Pip Sabian nut-shotted Hook from behind. And Cage then told Pip that he would deal with him later. And then he had Nick Plain give Hook the Cody cutter. And then Christian was going to try to give Hook his finish, whatever they call it these days, the former unprettier, on the metal clipboard he has with the contract, but they couldn't get the thing in the right place, and the guy kicked it with his foot, and then he fucking got over it again and finally did it, and then everybody left. And that's what we got. Should I move on, or are they still mulching leaves up there? And why am I yelling? Can you hear me over the goddamn deal?
I hear you. Can you hear that?
Yes, I can hear that.
Is this louder?
I'd rather hear the leaf blower.
Oh, come on now. What's that supposed to mean?
So anyway, are you ready? Are you ready for the main event?
I think the whole episode's been a main event. But yes, let's go to
the
big main event at the end of the show.
We'll go to the main event at the end of the show. And if you're just joining the program, the main event up there at Last Manor in New Jersey is the crew of leaf removal technicians making goddamn sound like a jet engine outside his home. And now that we've established that that's going on, you won't feel too self-conscious about joining into the goddamn conversation. Do you think that's fair to say, Mr. Last?
Again, now you're pulling me in when I'm trying to be quiet for the benefit of the And now they're turning it up. Now they got a vehicle. There's a vehicle they are riding on the lawn to blow the giant pile of leaves and apparently dust or dirt. There's all sorts of things blowing. I haven't been blown like this in days, ladies and gentlemen.
The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. You know, if we'd have just worked overtime yesterday, we could have avoided that. But the main event on this program was Private Party and Danny Garcia against the Hardley Boys and Old Jungle Jack. And we know we're going long because we started with 10 minutes left on the air in regulation, and there's no way that these self-indulgent nitwits can possibly get in and get out in that amount of time. And we opened up with a six-way fight that went to the floor and multiple dives. And I think the whole thing was a six-way because after a few minutes, I put it on fast forward because it's all the same thing and it doesn't even look any different on fast forward. And you've got that just desiccated, dried up, withered human. They ought to double Rick Knox whenever they have to stake a vampire in the heart and turn him to dust. They could save the goddamn special effects. Just show that motherfucker. People be, oh shit. And it's six-way all over the place. The jobbers are still in the parking lot waiting for Moxley's crew. Bear in mind now, it's fucking 10 o'clock at night. The show came on at 8. One would think maybe they might not even be coming. So at some point, Garcia got powerbombed through a table, and both of the heels, both of the Hardley Boys were beating up one member of Private Party while the referee was standing in the ring, and the other member of Private Party was on the apron stretching his hand out for a tag. Like, tag me so I can come in and help you against those two guys that didn't tag. What the fuck? They make everybody look like a moron. And then finally, after every indie wrestler's wet dream was over with, Private Party did kind of like a playground gym equipment setup alley-oop thing into a small package on Matty 123. So the EVPs got EV beat. And then Private Party got on a microphone and said, well, now we proved we can beat you, so we want a rematch for the tag team title. And the Buckaroos are walking out. They ain't interested. But then Private Party said, okay, if you'll put the belts up next week on TV, then if we lose, we'll split up and we'll not team up again. And one of the partners was actually, while the other partner was saying that, the one partner was going, well, wait a minute now. What the fuck is going on here with that? So who knows what, but next week, and then the Buckaroos say you're on. And then suddenly, at 10:07 p.m., Moxley's pickup truck pulls up out back, directly in front of the only 10 son of a bitches in the whole fucking state waiting for him. And Brian, even though you have all that noise in the background, can you give me a little Moxley?
I can't just give you a little Moxley like that. Just like that with no setup? What the hell is that? Unprofessional.
I wanted to hear if your goddamn leaf blowers were still going over there, or whether I was just talking to a fucking wall.
By the way, all these people, they're so upset, screaming, yelling with sticks and boards and rocks or whatever the fuck's going on back there. Marina Shafir gets out of the car. They all shut up.
Yeah, well, they're scared of her. They've seen Moxley get stretched out by, a goddamn car wash attendant in these jiu-jitsu tournaments, but Schaefer, she's the real deal. But that was the deal, is that the truck pulls up and Marina gets out and she's the only one in it. And suddenly Claudio and Useless hit the ring in the building and beat up all the baby faces. So they did go in the front door. Imagine that. And then Moxley comes in dressed like a cat burglar. Is that part of the movie? What movie are we on now? Who dresses like that in what movie?
Oh, I think now he's dressing like Charles Grodin in The Muppet Caper.
Well,
The Great Muppet Caper, excuse me.
Well, no excuse necessary. This great Muppet came in dragging Muffin Top Taylor to the ring with him. Remember, we saw him for the first time in not long enough earlier in the program when he had the heart-to-heart talk with the company mascot. And they drag him to the ring, and they've said that he had to quit wrestling because of a career-ending ankle injury. I thought it was by popular demand, to be honest with you, but at first they go to put the chair on his ankle and do the stomp, and then I think it was Useless and said, no, don't do that. And they put it around his neck and stomped that. And I'm like, good. Maybe we won't have to look at him anymore now. And then all the jobbers that were in the parking lot hit the ring a day late and $1 short. And there is Pockets sitting over the fallen, rosacea-ridden fucking Muffin Top Taylor, almost actually showing emotion. And so now we are being treated to an angle where they're trying to push Pockets, Moxley, and the Lollipop Guild all in the same thing. And they somehow expect any of these people that are filling up 15 and 20% of these arenas to give two shits and a French fried titty fuck whether Taylor lives or not. Nobody cared about him when he was actually in the fucking ring. So what?
That's the thing. There's no investment in the Chuck Taylor producer character. The fans didn't even know he was a producer until this episode.
It did, until the first time we saw him doing that was an hour and a half ago.
And not one fan in the last couple months or a year or whatever it's been has said, hey, where's Chuck Taylor?
Yeah.
That's something we never hear. We hear everything else from all these fans.
They're afraid to mention his name. It'd be like Beetlejuice. Don't mention his name. He'll show up.
Well, Moxley, when he was in the desert, threatened or promised that someone was going to get hurt for, I don't know if there was a reason, for everyone's sins or because everyone should know, but they don't know, or what was his reason? There was a reason someone had to get hurt.
Yes, it was, wait a minute, hold on, did I put it down in my notes? Tonight, a little piece of someone will be destroyed for their own good and for the greater good.
If you know, you know.
Actually, no, it is the greater good if we don't have to look at Taylor anymore. But, I mean, this is embarrassing at this point, isn't it?
It's really bad, and it reeks of there being no filter to filter out the really bad ideas and the masturbating all over oneself that you get from a lot of the top talent in AEW, like Moxley, who in one episode had a desert scene, and then, of course, he had his cat burglar scene, all the time selling for no one. You know, last week I brought up what if the idea is that it's like Fight Club. Moxley, the leader of this whole thing, is Moxley after all, and Moxley has to fight Moxley. Would Moxley sell for Moxley? I guess that's the big question.
I don't think so. I think that's got to be an hour Broadway.
Well, that's what every one of these segments feels like. No one cares at all about Claudio or Pac or Wheeler Yuta. Moxley and Marina are the two top people in this thing. Marina, her role, I guess, is to drive and walk. And then Moxley, it's like everything that anyone did in a movie that had a badass in the 70s or 80s, he's discovering now. Here's the problem. This is not going away. It's going to get deeper and bigger. I said this is going to be the AEW Infinity War. You brought up before, what'd you say? You know, the Bucks are involved in this, and Private Party's involved in this, and Orange Cassidy and Darby.
Pockets, yes.
Yeah, it's only going to pull everyone else into it. This is going to be the central focus. This is going to make the guys who beat up Tony in front of his dad, I guess is what it was. It's going to make them the babyface when Tony has to ask them to save the company. I think this is going to be a disaster. I think they're going to pull everyone into this thing, and it's not good. It's really not good. And Tony has a habit of allowing guys to do their thing, and he puts his special TK spin on it. But
do you remember how many months and months and months that they tried to make the Dork Order some type of thing that anybody would give a shit about, and then they were gone finally, and now they're back because they're friends with the Cucamonga Kids. And
no, it's reverting to all friends. It's reverting to everything we made fun of it actually being when it actually was, and people wanted to pretend it wasn't at the beginning. It's reverting back to that because there's only so many other people they can add to this roster now. You know, MVP and Shelton feels like a separate thing, and that's good. House of Black feels like a separate thing because they just appear on the show every now and then and don't do anything. Although, I guess next week we get to see Buddy Matthews get killed by Adam Cole. I can't wait to see that. Will it be a super kick or the Panama Sunrise? We'll find out.
Well, did anybody watch this program this week? Because I am still blissfully in the dark about that.
Well, Jim, AEW Dynamite, October 23rd on TBS. On average, from 8 to 10:06 p.m., I should add, on average was watched by 637,000 viewers.
Oh!
It is the lowest number in the key demo since August 7th, and it ranked number 6 in prime time because other things were on TV. See, AEW is a real big problem, and I think we need to acknowledge it as critics of the AEW product. If nothing was on any other channel, they would have a great number. But every time one of these other channels adds something to the programming schedule from 8 to 10 p.m. on a Wednesday, it hurts AEW, and it's not fair.
It's not fair at all. It's unfair, predatory business practices. All righty, well, in that case, where did they start, ratings guru?
Well, they started with quarter 1, 8 to 8:15 p.m. These were compiled by WrestleNomics. Quarter 1, a recap. Jon Moxley's desert promo after watching too much Breaking Bad. The Hangman Adam Page Bang Bang Gang live angle. The MVP Shelton Benjamin backstage promo. And the start of Benjamin versus Guevara. 832,000 viewers.
Oh, my Lord, I see a fucking roller coaster ride straight down the hill coming by the end of this program.
Well, you know, roller coaster goes up too, so you wouldn't really be making a fair comparison.
That's true. In that case, how about a plummeting, crashing airplane?
That's more appropriate, maybe. Quarter 2, 8:15, 8:30 p.m. The continuation of Benjamin versus Guevara with picture-in-picture ads. The Mariah May Anna Jay backstage angle. And the Will Ospreay Kyle Fletcher video, followed by the start of the Kyle Fletcher live promo. 688,000 viewers.
Oh, good Lord. That 144,000, that's a new record for 1/4 hour, isn't it?
I'm not certain, so I can't make a comment on that, but
jeez.
The party continues into quarter 3, 8:30 to 8:45 p.m. The Kyle Fletcher head-shaving angle or promo continues. An ad break. The Ricochet MVP Shelton Benjamin angle. The Pillars of Destiny. Was that their name? The Pillars of Destiny.
You know, they never said those guys' names.
No, I didn't. The Pillars of Destiny versus Brian.
Destiny, no escaping. That's for me.
The Pillars of Destiny versus Brian Cage and Lance Archer, followed by an ad break. 641,000 viewers.
Ooh, okay. Well, that means, 191,000 in 45 minutes have bit the dust. They actually, I was thinking that it would be later on in the program that we would see a precipice, but basically people just said, fuck it right off the bat.
Well, there's more dust in quarter 4, 8:45 to 9 p.m. And that's Swami, 8:45 to 9 p.m. The Chuck Taylor Orange Cassidy conversation.
Wow.
Followed by the start of Mark Briscoe versus Chris Jericho ladder match with picture-in-picture. 611,000 viewers.
All right. Now we're at 221,000. I mean, I don't know what to say. They're determined not to continue to watch this program. Did they pick anything up at 9 o'clock?
Well, the big 9 o'clock hour when you would think people would check out what's going on the show. The continuation of Briscoe versus Jericho. The post-match with the Learning Tree, Rocky Romero, and Tomohiro Ishii. The Chris Statlander video. The Adam Cole Undisputed Kingdom confrontation with MJF's video. And a live promo.
The confrontation with his video.
That's what it is every week.
Fuck you, you video.
669,000 viewers.
Okay, so they did. Let's see, 58,000 people they picked back up.
And again, a general reminder as we go into the end of the show here. They built up that the Bucks were going to be in the main event. Moxley had not arrived, and clearly he had to show up at some point.
They were going to look awful stupid. Well, they did look awful stupid when the girl showed up and they all got suckered, but still, yeah.
But they're building it up. The point is, if they're trying to get people interested, it's angles that have to work. It's also the people in them, but we'll get there. Quarter 6, I believe. Quarter 6, 9:15 and 9:30 p.m. An ad break, a Jamie Hayter promo, The House of Black versus Jaden Monroe, Kevin Koa, and Parata de la Muerte.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
The Adam Cole Buddy Matthews backstage confrontation.
You know what? None of those guys looked like they needed a name more complicated than Jack fucking Smith.
And the start of Camille versus Queen Aminata. 583,000 viewers.
Wait a minute, here comes Percy Pringle. Oh, sweet Jesus. What in the world? Was there a sudden power failure on the East Coast at 9:15?
Well, there was a problem. I brought up that there were other shows on TV. There were also shows on radio.
Oh, we didn't think about radio.
No, you haven't taken that into the equation. Podcasts are really a problem because they're on demand, so you can listen to them at any time. AEW's got problems with other things existing, but let's go back to the...
Yeah, well, that's where those 86,000 people went. They went to listen to the radio.
Quarter 7, 9:30 to 9:45 p.m. The radio's better than the commentary on this fucking show. The continuation of Camille versus Aminata with picture-in-picture and full-screen ads. The post-match with Mercedes Moné and Chris Statlander, the Patriarchy angle, the Hook Patriarchy Kip Sabian live angle, and an ad break. 580,000 viewers.
Well, they've stopped the bleeding, but the problem is the spear is still sticking out of their chest.
Well, we now go to the main event.
And by the way, they're down 252,000 viewers from the start of the program.
A drop in the bucket. Let's now go to the main event.
A mere bag of shells.
Quarter 8, and I remind you, Jim, we have an overrun.
I'm sure we do.
Quarter 8, 9:45 to 10 p.m. Daniel Garcia and Private Party versus the Elite with picture-in-picture. 532,000 viewers.
Oh!
6-minute overrun, it says here. The continuation of the match with the Blackpool Combat Club finally arriving and attacking Chuck Taylor. Also 532,000 viewers.
Oh my God. The people that tuned in to see Modern Family said it's not on. Fuck it. And the big angle, the EVPs, Moxley's minions, exactly 300,000 viewers down from the start of the program to the finish of the program. Now, what percentage, Brian?
Oh, fuck you. What percentage of what? Let me hear where you're going with this.
What percentage of 832,000 is 300,000?
Hold on.
That's 40%, right? Or 40-something% of the audience.
Give me the numbers again.
Well, they had 832,000 at start. And they lost 300,000 people exactly. So
300,000, you said?
300,000. So what percentage of that is of 832,000 is that?
36%.
Well, there you go. It's a new world record. And we haven't done this in a while. But if you take the first quarter and the overrun out, remember we used to do 2 through 8 as what is the real audience? We haven't done that in a while.
No, we haven't.
How did you used to do that?
Well, let's go back to it. You basically, let me get my calculator here. We're going to add up from quarter 2 on, 688 plus 641 plus 611, oof, plus 669 plus, who could forget 583?
What a number.
580 plus 532 divided by 7 equals 614, well, let's round up, 615,000 viewers.
Well, there, as we've mentioned, is probably the true number because for whatever reason, that first quarter, they may want to watch The Big Bang Theory, but they're not going to hang around. That always happens. Sometimes to a lesser degree, sometimes to a greater degree. But if you go with 15 minutes into the show to the end of regulation, that's a true average, and that's 615,000. And we used to laugh at them when it was 700 and something thousand.
Look, this is only going to go down. Even Dave Meltzer's now acknowledging what we said a while ago, which is that while the overall cable universe is going down, the numbers are dropping. AEW's numbers are dropping more than that. So these are only going to continue to go down as the TV continues to get worse. Even when there's some promise on the show, there's just nothing that anyone cares about. The Bucks and Moxley are 3 of the biggest contracts in AEW. When was the last time they caused a number to go up? When was the last time Moxley did without Darby being attached? When was the last time the Bucks did ever? And everything's been on a downward slide since the Punk video. Because it just brought to everyone's attention how inadequate a Jack Perry and the Young Bucks are. They come across like kids trying to be superstars. And it's not working. They're not drawing. The ratings go down when they're on. No one comes back when they're on. And no one's buying tickets to any of these shows. And they're going to keep doing this. This is, like I said, This is going to swallow the whole company, this Moxley angle.
Tony never gives up on anything. And and he's supposed to be the statistics guy, but it's been 5 years with Orange Cassidy. And you remember how long with the dork order, because, he's got the guys, well, they're great guys. And the fact that they put Taylor on television ever. So it's going to get more narrow-casted to the indie-minded fan, of which there are fewer and fewer, because now they've actually got an alternative that they don't mind. So Vince is gone. They don't hate the fucking evil empire anymore. They want to see all the superstars. They're goddamn making people mortgage their house to buy a fucking ticket up there. And they're doing it. Anyway.
Well, those were the ratings, and that is that. And, I know there's other things to talk about. Vince McMahon's been in the news for a couple things, as always. But
we're doing some research, actually, on those stories to break them on the experience this weekend, where we have more time to give some insight. But
exactly, that's what I was thinking.
That's what you're thinking there.
With that, well, actually, before we go, I'm just seeing this now.
Uh-oh.
This was tweeted out by MMA Payout. That's Adam Swift, I believe.
Adam Swift from the old HDNet television network.
Yeah.
Well, he's a nice young fellow.
Well, this is the official event fee report for WrestleDream that they had to file with the state, I guess.
Oh, my God.
Promoter information, Christopher Harrington. That's interesting. Event type pro wrestling, Tacoma Dome. Number of tickets. Here's the ticket sales and proceeds. They sold 6,373 tickets for a total of $456,513.85, which would then have to have $33,000 and change deducted from it as fees. Number of complimentary tickets redeemed, 724.
So that's about, 6,000 something paid, 700, about, 12 to 15% of that particular house was comps. But now what did, what were the reports out, tickets distributed for that event? Can we find that out? And then we see what tickets distributed were, because here's the thing. Is that the comps that were redeemed by people that came? How many comps did they give out? When you give out comps, everybody never comes. So what was the tickets distributed number that we got on that?
According to WrestleTix, the final count distributed was 8,045.
And out of that, 100 were sold?
6,373.
Ooh, so and about half the comps came, because they had 7-something thousand in comps, or with the comps.
Right, because what this says is number of complimentary tickets redeemed, not given out.
Yeah. Because, again, I don't care what. As a matter of fact, sometimes and often, all of the people that buy tickets don't actually come. Somebody's going to get hit by a bus or have a sick kid or whatever. But definitely never do all the people that you give complimentary tickets to come, because in some cases you're either dumping them with sponsors and they're going to give them out, and those people are not that motivated, or whatever the case.
Well, by the way, here's the breakdown. 492 tickets sold at $175 a pop. 601 tickets at $125. 748 at $90. 676 at $78, 853 at $41, 464 people paid $58, 838 people paid $25, and then 1,701 paid $54.32.
Good Lord. A lot of different prices for that size crowd.
Well, there it is, the official, as filed with the state. The official information about WrestleDream tickets, but with that, Jim, the drive-thru is closed. All right. If you have money to spare, send me a few thousand. I'll make you a custom song. It'll be about 15 seconds in length, but it'll be yours. Hit me up wherever you find someone.
You mean we can own a piece of your musicianship?
Oh, well, you can have a license to it.
Oh,
I'm not giving up ownership. I'm giving a license.
So it'd be like you still retain publishing.
I could revoke that license anytime I want.
Oh.
Yeah. And of course I retain publishing, but you can hear more unpublishable content on the Jim Cornette Experience, wherever you find your favorite podcasts in a few days. And next week, back here in the drive-thru, go through the archive, patreon.com/Cornette. $5 a month gets you access to the archive going back to 2013. Patreon.com/Cornette. The official Jim Cornette YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube and search for Jim Cornette. It'll be the very first thing that pops up. Full episodes, clips of episodes, omnibus collections, all with the very popular artwork by Travis Heckel. Check it out today. The official Jim Cornette YouTube channel. Much more to come. Stay tuned. Of course, if you want to get that... If you want to get that customizable so you can make him a communist Jim Cornette action figure, where can you go, Jim?
Hey, I resent that. You can't make me a communist. You can't make me. But you can go to JimCornette.com and give it the good old college try. Cornette's Collectibles going on now, the big holiday sale. Too many items to mention, so all I'll say is go there now and feast your eyes and fantasize on the wonderful autographed merchandise available therein for wonderfully affordable prices.
At JimCornette.com. Of course, the drive-thru is brought to you by the law office of Stephen Pinu, 877-50-STEVE. Get even with Stephen, newlawoffice.com. But with that, we are gone until the experience, and next week back here in the drive-thru for Jim Cornette, I'm the great Brian Last. Tally-ho!